twine and shadows dance in this twilight somber trance. Candles flicker, weary wicks, ancient echoes, time's cruel tricks, marble figures, frozen pose, amidst the silence sorrow grows. Whispering shadows, secrets keep in the depths where night meets sleep. Underneath the velvet gloom, guardians of the haunted room. Chandeliers in crystal tears reflect forgotten yesteryears, softly chanting distant cries through the arches sorrow sighs. Gargoyles watch with stony gaze, guardians of endless maze. Pipe organ's breath begins to rise, filling air with mournful ties. Whispering shadows, secrets keep in the depths where night meets sleep. Underneath the velvet gloom, guardians of the haunted room.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is Lady Red of ostensibly the Black Pants Legion, and I am here to annoy people once again, possibly about horses this time, possibly about other things, and if we're very lucky, we will have a lictor with us. Is the audio working?
Is it?
It is! It worked first try without me having to monkey with anything. Amazing!
Amazing. We should have to perform some sort of sacrifice.
Must be a blue moon tonight. OBS did nothing untoward.
There will be a sacrifice.
Yes.
Sure to whom or how, but things will be sacrificed. I will now send you, like promised a moment ago, because I can.
Yeah, send me things. Chat, tell me how you're doing. How are you this fine Friday afternoon? How is everybody, and how is Lictor?
I am actually well. This week has been insane, very.
Yeah. I mean, I'll agree with that, though I suspect the reasons it's been insane for me were very different to the reasons it's been insane for you, and yours are probably way more important.
No, I've just, it was one of these weeks in which I had worked.
My God.
Like many work. It was the work like, hey man, can we have that website up for yesterday? And I was like, no. And they were like, but what if we pay you enough to consider it? And then I said, well, will you? And then they said yes.
I'm glad you got paid, but unless they were providing you with a time machine.
Well, no time machine, but that was like, you do know I have a separate rate for stupid clients. Like,
yes, the idiot tax.
Exactly, and they were like, we know. And I was left speechless. They were just like, you know what? I did put that level of pricing per hour for a reason. I
Yep.
never expected anyone to pay it, but it's in my contract, so I guess.
So
And
you got
thus,
paid extra monies but had to run around like a complete idiot for a few days to cover for other people.
I did a lot of work in a very short period of time.
Well done. Well done. I'm sorry you had to, but well done. It sounds like some people in chat have been doing cool things too. Ed has said that they've started a new class that's been keeping them busy. I hope it's a fun and engaging class, and good on you for
Yes.
getting an education. Education is
Yes.
important.
Very much so. And I have to say that if you start a new class, you have to start working on your subclasses, man. I'm expecting to see the entire book
Yep, and then you can
on my
cross-class
desk
later on.
pronto. Yes, then you can multi-class. And then, if you're lucky, you'll get into Pathfinder first edition, and then you can triple class and 4 class, and then do prestige classes, and then you can start getting real crazy.
And Night Owl is on a 195 stream streak, which is ridiculous and means that Night Owl was forced to endure the horse stream last night.
What?
We had a
stream.
we had a horse
Is that the
stream.
same one with Hell's horses?
Yes, so it was Numeric Workshop last night, and the ridiculous week I had was Parallax kind of barreled into my life at the beginning of the week and was like, hey, you like Uma Musume, what if we made a completely ridiculous shitpost? And that was what we spent the week doing. We made the dumbest shitpost. We made an entire fake advertisement for a fake game from a fake game studio, made with fake art, except at the very end where I'd actually made a proper piece of art. It was very fun.
It was fun.
Yes, and then last night we spent like a good hour plus just talking about Uma Musume and horse facts.
That is... I respect that. I don't know how to do anything else with that except, I'm sipping my respect cup.
I am a
And-
font of random horse fact information, and do not ask me any questions, we'll be here forever.
I will only say, I am not Stormsong. I do not have that same capacity.
It was Storm Song that I drew at the end. I drew him in the style of Uma Musume, so he became a very adorable anime horse girl. And it was very fun because he didn't know I'd done it until it was revealed last night. So that was my ridiculous week. As I say, not nearly so important or impressive as what you were doing, but very fun nonetheless.
There you go. That's Mags. In her,
Oh,
the
lovely.
old version is in the right, and the Rise and Grind recap. Cup in the left.
Excellent. Excellent.
I think
That
it
looks
better.
really... Yes, you've definitely refined what you had. It looks great. I really like what you've done with the left. I'm not going to show it on stream because I think it would be really cool once we've drawn all the characters to just have all of them and be like, yes, this is our ridiculous rogue trader party.
I really have to ask chat. Does anybody has any idea what the color of Draven Choir should be? Because I'm down to coloring it now, and I want to know what the chat thinks.
Ooh, colours for Graven Choir. That is a good thing to put to chat.
Because I don't know.
Bully Snake, in answer to your question of who will we never to forget, Aston Machan was the horse in question.
Gray. Okay. I mean, gray and silver. How can you tell the difference under what? It's
Doctor
like
Who is saying soon, and he is correct. Doctor Who will be visiting the Desir residence next week, so next week's stream, if it goes ahead, we will have Doctor Who live in the house, and that will be fun.
Amazing.
Very
That will
fun.
be good. I appreciate that.
We will probably have Pip yelling at him because that's what Pip does. He yell. But he's been a very calm boy today. Bully Snake says, not flashy colours, Graven Choir sounds solemn, ashen perhaps. I excuse me.
You're allowed.
I feel like ashen colors is a good idea, but that it needs to be like toned, so like a dusky
What if-
purple and a dusky blue.
So, when you say dusky, help me out. Arts.
So
art
desaturated, headed into sort of the grey scale.
Pastels.
Yeah.
Pastels.
Yeah, and sort of removing
low
some of that
saturation.
pigment. Yeah, exactly.
So saturation down, lightness up, of course, shadow value for shadows.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, let's go with blue, with slate blues. And what should be the contrast color? I mean,
I would go with a more saturated sort of sea green.
Okay, so going down to green as a okay, got it. I'll make a sketch and I'll let.
And then
And
once
that'll
you've
give-
done it, I think Photoshop has the capacity. I mean, I'd be surprised if it doesn't, to throw a hue and saturation layer over the top of the whole piece. Then you can just play
Oh,
with
yeah.
sliders and see what you like.
Yeah, no, I have an idea. Stay tuned.
Excellent.
The new arm, the one that wasn't ripped off by an annoyed Leviathan, is going to be in a slightly different color.
Oh, that's cool. That's very cool.
Yeah, you know, you get your arm lopped off, and suddenly the new guys, no, we don't have that specific technicalities in the slate green. You have to go with fawn white. I'm like, but this ruins my entire vibe. I am supposed to be the green dancer of the leaves. Well, sorry.
I'm sulking
You-
now.
You go find a Cephalonet factory that works with lime green, and I'll buy their entire stock just so you won't get it.
Ah, yes, spite buying.
Yes. I'm sorry, my brain is in a very weird place right now.
I think that's true of everybody who comes along to this stream. It's just a whole collection of very weird brains. So, plans for this
That is
week.
true.
I have
Yes.
done a whole load of organising of all of my files and gotten a load of stuff in place to be able to do more things, which is wonderful because tidy up is important. I've written a couple of thousand words on Chapter 3, so I think we need to review that today and then talk about what the rest of Chapter 3 should look like, because I want you guys' input on what should happen. We have some more short stories to read. I think we've read most of them at this point. We've had Blackfire's green text up to date, you know, sort of drip fed over the course of our streams as they've come along. We've read Dead Weight, we've read Frothing Out. We have not yet, however, read Introspective Story on the Roughneck, which is the human augmented suit for human conflicts that has been modified for the suit that Jake wears in the story that we're writing. So I thought we might read that today as well. And yeah, we'll kind of figure out where we're going from there.
I also finished rewriting on adaptive forms for the
For the Laticals?
I
Amazing.
read it last time, but it was a very rough draft, and now it's actually, you know, in a point where I feel people can read it as opposed to being first draft. I actually read
Awesome.
it to someone outside of our community.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and it was very interesting. They really liked the fact that one of the facts that I punched in that was interesting to them, at least, was the idea that you can touch your shrouds like ants touching antennas to transfer information.
Yes.
So,
Yes, our psionic system has really made Shoal a very unique place. Very
exactly.
unique and fun to write about.
I think every time we touch into the ways they do things that we humans do not, or the way that are analogous to humans, because it's almost human when it really isn't.
And those, of course, tend to be the things that are the most alien and strange, the things that are recognizable but not right.
Exactly.
Blackfire
Sure.
says, we'll drip feed more of mine soon. Just been fighting health stuff and ignoring it a touch long. Health always comes first. There is absolutely no rush to get anything to us. We very much enjoyed your story so far. I would love for there to be more, but at the right time for you. Please see to your health first. That's very, very important. And I think 2026 is a good year for healthy things. One of my close friends in Australia has been on a very impressive health kick for the last 6 months. Which has motivated me to make this the year that I sort my own health and fitness out and start getting some better routines in place. So I've been exercising this year, and my calves are currently unhappy with me because I've reminded them that, you know, they exist and that I expect them to do things, and that they're very unhappy about it.
How dare you?
No, I think this is going to be a good year to sort of say, well, you know, screw what the rest of the world is doing. We can't control the nonsense in the world, but we can control ourselves, and we can make cool things, and we can look after ourselves. So for me, that's a priority this year.
Hell yeah. Hear, hear.
Are you good, Anchor? Are we falling off the couch? Yes. Sleepy baby just nearly slid the entire way off the couch. Exorcising ghosts or demons? I mean both, and also exercising at the same time. Blackfire says next part is in my notebook. Just need to give it an edit pass and sort a couple of things mentally. Usually I edit length down and it's going up instead. Sometimes that's the editing process. The couple of thousand words I've written for today, I mean, everything we have so far we're going to end up trimming and tightening when we go through the editing process. But I was trimming stuff down today on a piece that I was writing, whereas when I've been doing some of the compendium work, I've had to flesh like little areas out and add stuff in. So editing sometimes goes either way. Hopefully you're adding stuff because you've just got more cool things that you want to add in and you're finding it enjoyable rather than the tedious, okay, well, I need to put this here because otherwise it doesn't work, but it's not as exciting as what I want to be writing, which is always frustrating.
I have a question for Chad as well, again, if I may.
Yeah, sure.
If the piece about the laticles made sense and felt right and hit the spot of, yeah, it transmits what it needs to do, I want to go for the next, and I would like to take it to next week, and that means I'd like Chad to tell me which group of nonsense people should I tackle next, because I don't have...
Yeah, we can do a poll on that.
Yeah, you know, are we doing cephs? Are we doing ceratinoids? Are we doing anyone else? What's next on What's next on Lictor's chopping block?
The chopping block of many, many things. All right, yes. Where do we want to start today? Should we start with the Roughneck story, as it's not sort of related to anything else we're doing today? It's a, hey, look at this cool thing, and then we can broach into things that we'll have. I think that might be sensible.
I think that would be very sensible.
It seems like Setup Me also thinks that was sensible because I have put it as the first goal today. So yeah, I think we'll do that. Let me click over to our writing program, and if I have been a sensible bunny, I should have, yep, community stories and Roughneck, and here it is, sitting in our master file. It is here. Alrighty. Yeah, I haven't done any nice fancy visual editing on it. I just copied and pasted Introspective's wonderful writing, so that's what we have, but at least you guys will be able to see it. Let me make this the only thing on the screen. That will help as well. There we go. Has that all transitioned over? Good morning, what's up? How are you? We are about to read some chaotic nonsense and fun. I'm also going to turn off our shoal crab. There we go.
Bye, shoal crab.
Alrighty, sip a drink and then I can put my reading voice on.
Read.
Water.
We know how to do that. We know how to do that. We've been reading stuff.
Yeah, we've had practice at this point. This will be good.
Yes, we know letters.
Alrighty, so this was Introspective 90, did the writing for this. This is a story based on some of the human conflicts elsewhere in the setting. It's not directly related to Shoal, but the reason why we have this is the roughneck suit that Jared from this story has is sort of the template for Jake's suit in the story we're currently writing. So that's why we're here. Alrighty. Jared muffled a curse around his lit cigarette as the shuttle shook, its engines whining as the mass of metal and rocket fuel shot past countless blasts of anti-air fire. Taking a peek out of one of the windows, Andromeda Beta loomed below, its turquoise shade gleaming amidst flak and the detonations of insertion shuttles trying to make orbit, the chaos making the planet shine even more amidst a sea of stars. His tobacco only seemed to accentuate the feeling, a jewel for all to desire. The drop siren shrieks... Oh, sorry, let me try that again. The drop siren shrieks out as the lighting turned red. The sounds of mass-booted feet rings along the metal floor. "All right, you sons of bitches," came his sergeant's harsh voice. "Ground command needs someone to drop the hammer, and luckily that's our specialty." Jared rushes towards his bay, tossing his cig to the side to the cursing of the mechanics. Old Painless already hooked and waiting, looming open like a waiting maw. All the while, the sergeant continued to speak, mission briefing being fed to Jared's eyes via his skulljack connection. "We'll be dropping into the enemy capital to help soften up defences for the main push. They've mostly got needle guns and slug throwers, but don't get cocky. Reports indicate there may still be dedicated anti-tank squads in the area after the last bombing run, so keep your heads on a fucking swivel." The map in his vision indicated they'd be pushing up the main thoroughfares of the city, squashing prepared positions and sapping various entry points as they went along for the main force. Not particularly appealing, Jared notes as he steps up into his suit's torso, letting the mechanical arms and servos slot the pieces of his armour into place around him, along with the light sting of his skulljack and nerve suit medical ports connecting with Painless's systems. There's a sudden whine, and he's flashed with a migraine-inducing amount of stimulus, the smell of what Rogers had for dinner last night, the burnt oil of Gunny's tool bag, the banging staccato of boots and shouting as other people suit up, the constant scent of iron and fuel that seems to leak out in the first few seconds of linkage, all while constant bolts of lightning shoot through his nerves. Then the stims hit, and everything practically slows to a crawl. Jared's eyes dilate as suddenly he feels the sensation of his mind running hundreds of miles a minute, the constant overwhelming sensory input of the HUD and sensors slotting into place in his mind as his accelerated processing and ingrained training push him through the last few pre-drop checks. With a blinking green light, the final seals were shut with a hiss of air escaping, before he finally lets the autopilot guide him to his gate, letting the harness slot into place as he is suspended above what is essentially a trapdoor with a magnetic accelerator strapped to it. The drop always started the same way, a sudden, disorienting sensation of weightlessness in your gut before gravity and magnetism took hold of you by the pants and yanked violently down. It's silent at first, no air in the void to transmit sound, just the sights of a combat drop amidst a naval engagement, the flashes of coil guns and point defences going off as captains battle for dominance of orbit. Which rather rapidly changes as you hit atmosphere, and all you can hear is the hellish scream of burning air and friction before audio dampens the noise to prevent hearing loss. Jared always felt like a can of soup when the shaking starts, tossing him end over end as his suit manoeuvres and jets itself just right to ride the atmospheric currents instead of getting turned into a bloody smear 100 miles from the ground. 5 miles, the altimeter reads out with steady measurements. He'd reached terminal velocity at this point, his jets focused on avoiding enemy anti-air fire as he makes the last leg of his journey to hell in a metal coffin. 4 miles. He feels the shudder and groaning as Painless begins prep for shell ejection, readying the ignition charges for separation. 3 miles. There's a loud bang as across the surface of his suit, countless mini-explosions blast off the ablative metal shielding, protecting the various nooks and crannies hosting sensitive equipment. His ECM array slotting into active position and almost instantly sending the homing missiles coming his way off course by at least a mile. 2 miles. An antenna shoots out along the side of his neck as his comm system bursts into action now that the interference of re-entry is over. And immediately he's awash with a sea of status reports, enemy troop positioning, and the location of his squad popping up on his topographic map. 1 mile, the utter ocean of information probably acknowledged and processed by his utterly chem-inundated brain, the neuron boosters and cerebral response enhancers allowing for the info to flow through as if he was reading a book in his bunk. Impact. The ground disintegrates around Jared as the shock absorbers and inertial dampeners of his armour defy his certain fate as a hubcap. Reinforced servo motors and enhanced muscular gyros groan and roar out in defiance, rendering much of the landing site a crater. A vast cloud of debris and turquoise sand erupting around Jared as his sensors do a reading, his Kerberos slotting into Painless's hands neatly as his maze warmed up on his right shoulder. A quick stretch sees his back popped and the full synchronization of his nervous system with Painless completed. Which is about when he finally takes in why the walls of his landing site were all lighting up on thermal. They're covered in red pulp. It seems he'd landed on one of his targets, an infantry platoon attempting to set up a hard point near the city's front gate. Seeing the ruins of the emplacement gun they were attempting to set up, it'd have cut the first wave to pieces, especially with the rather commanding view they had of the main thoroughfare. Not bad for what seemed to have been a data repository before Jared happened to it. Oh well, no sense worrying about ghosts. A quick twitch of his finger sees the maser twist behind him, letting out a quick burst of hyperactive microwaves that rendered the surviving platoon members, their weapons, and their equipment to well-charred briquettes. Another twitch, and Painless ion thrusters roar to life, send him rocketing out of the ruins of the depository and screaming along the main road like an ice ballerina from hell. The streets fly by at a rapid clip, the city obviously having been constructed in the neo-purist style, elaborate arches and sloping walls, smooth streets and spiralling towers. It must have looked impressive, before being turned into a war-torn hellscape. The smoke of countless fires dot the cityscape, the sound of gunfire and distant explosions echoing across the streets as his squad and others made their pushes, which is about when his munition alarm gave out a shriek and he had to jerk himself out of his forward boost to avoid an antimaterial rocket scooping his head off. His feet dig into the street with a squeal, throwing sparks and debris as he digs 2 long furrows into the ground before coming to a stop. His head immediately snaps in the direction of the exhaust trails, to find another squad of infantry surrounding a smoking rocket emplacement and in the rapid process of reloading. Well, we can't have that. A quick thought and a raised arm is all it takes for Kerberos to unleash hell. The rotary cannon letting out a rip-roaring fusillade of depleted uranium rounds at over 4,500 rounds per minute. The crewmen do not even have the time to respond before they are reduced to red mist, and the building that had been their refuge is turned to a cratered ruin. A quick scan for survivors after revving down, and Jared's confident he's cleaned this block. Rocketing off, he tunes into squad comms, getting the directions to the next objective point. What it turns out to be is a makeshift resupply depot based out of a police station. Rations, energy packs, fuel, all the things needed to keep troops active and effective in an active war zone. Countless squads rush in and out, moving pallets, taking on supplies, and generally doing their best impression of army ants as they rush to resupply as fast as the logistics teams can manage without automated assistance. An APC hovers in one of the maintenance bays, having its hoverports serviced and fuel cells replaced. Mechanics hard at work as the pilots ravenously scarf down rations, like men who've not eaten since the siege started, which might be the truth. In other words, they were sitting ducks. Perfect. Jared flicks the mental switch, setting Painless into overdrive and letting his thrusters go full burn. His surroundings blur even in his enhanced perception, Kerberos rising up to roar out into the world as he draws closer. First line of defence doesn't even last a second, merely reduced to a cloud of shrapnel and gore. The second gets a few seconds before their number is cut in half by high-velocity rounds of depleted uranium. By the time they realise what's happening, it's too late. He's already in range. Soldiers simply disintegrate as he passes. The combination of air pressure, the heat of his thrusters, and the shrapnel means that those who don't die from concussive force either explosively decompress or burn alive. All the while, in his heightened state, Jared pulls back an arm, a cruel stake popping out as if scenting blood, before driving all momentum into it and through the personnel carrier. The front frame collapses like a tin can, taking over 2 tons of ceramic tungsten composite and weaponry head-on, before ka-chunk! The stake delivers its vicious payload into the now impaled vehicle. Immediately... Oh, I've lost my place. I've done this to myself. Immediately turning the entire block into a fire pit of flame and shrapnel, the explosive charge having detonated directly in the fuel block that was previously refueling. Those mechanics and pilots not killed on impact are incinerated in the following blast. Jared merely revels in a highly stimulated job well done amidst the flaming ruins of the vehicle pool. All the while, the survivors muster a defence behind his frame, desperate troopers sporting needle guns and low-level energy rifles in a vain hope of taking down the hulking monstrosity in front of them. Jared simply turns, taking in their frightened and despairing expressions, all while their weapons fire plinks on Painless's plating. A mental command slips the mazer to full power, and he pulls the trigger. There's a brief flash, and then it begins. In a haze of white light, Jared watches through flare shielding as the troopers simply cease to exist, as if they were ink being blotched away by some hand of God. Their forms becoming indistinct and blurry before simply lessening to being mere stick caricatures that fade into nothing. When he finally pulls off the trigger, there's nothing left save a bleached white pavement marked by shadows where the troopers once stood, and slowly dying fires. A quick shot to a fuel tank takes out the rest of the remaining outpost, and with that, Jared launches off to his next objective. As Jared flies along, he can't help but muse on what exactly he will be feeling once he finally comes down and decompresses, before shrugging it off as irrelevant. That was for another day and another Jared. For now, all that mattered was making sure a beachhead was opened up for the poor bastards coming in after him and the other exo-squads. A brief click of the tongue, and the entire thought is washed out of his head, already focused on his next target. Just another day in the Corps. So, one, I apologise for stumbling over some of that. I'm apparently having a day. I apologise. Two, in service to what this piece was for, I think this is pretty good. It's a very good depiction of a combat suit where the stimulants and the work is, you know, the person engaged in the combat won't feel it until later. It's dispassionate enough to get the point across, if that makes sense, which is the point of the piece.
I felt it was very much I felt that was the show reel that Raytheon goes to the army procurement system and says, buy this or your neighbors will.
Yes, which of course is the point of the roughneck is, we made this very powerful suit, and oh dear, maybe we shouldn't have.
Yes, I mean, we made this, look at what it can do. You want to be the owners of this, or somebody else will, and they will visit it upon you.
Yep. And Ed Gauss is making the important point that this is a distantly related suit, but that the technology that allows the roughneck to exist has allowed for Jake's suit to exist as well. It's not like Jake's suit has even the slightest portion of these weapon and stimulant systems, but the concepts are still there that allow for Jake to operate in a suit on Shoal. Okay, Night Owl has gone to lay down for a while and has told us not to drop cans of liquid on unprotected feet. Well, we'll do our best. Yeah, 50-year sales cycle before being shuttered for war crime court proceedings, says Introspective 90.
I don't see why this weapon would be shuttered for war crimes.
War crimes? Surely not. On this stream?
I mean, this weapon system, it's hugely localized in terms of the sort of damage it does.
It's true.
The people operating it, maybe the generals sending these people to fight and using it in an urban environment within the calibrations of it, yeah, that might be, but the weapon system itself, this thing is pinpoint accurate.
Yes, but war crimes come in many shapes and flavours, some of which are simply intent. We can't be doing war crimes, Zork isn't here. I mean, Zork intensifies the war crimes, but unfortunately we're very capable of also making war crimes without him.
I beg to differ. Trust me. War crimes do not require Zork. We are very... Oh, riot control, of course. I understand. Riot control. Yes, of course.
Yes,
riot control. Same riot control. The riot control on a sector level. It's the same sort of riot control you operate on ants when you're using pesticide.
Yes, and now you know why we end up with war crime courts. Lictor is quiet. I can do something about that. Let me turn Lictor up a little bit. We'll see if that helps. Let's put Lictor around about
I can.
here-ish.
Hello.
Hopefully this helps. So yeah, Introspective wrote that piece for us, and I think it's very interesting, and it will be very interesting as Ed pulls the rest of the human stuff together, because even if there's things that maybe get tweaked later, it always makes like this, oh no, this is a advertising thing to get people to embrace the roughneck or whatever, where you get those little discrepancies and you're able to write it in as, oh, it's totally marketing, and it's not really like that, or vice versa. So it's good to have. I'm really glad we have this piece. So yeah, that is all of our community stories so far. If anybody wants to write any others, please do so. Let me know. I will add them to our master list. They will get read and they will turn up in their own compiled volume by the end of this year, which will be pretty sweet to have and give people something tactile to work with. All right, let's bring up some stuff for what else we're going to be doing today.
Excellent.
All right. I want to give my voice a tiny bit of a break, and I also, before I read more, and I would also like to use the restroom. So what I might do at this point, if you're willing, Lictor, would you like to read your revised Latical piece?
Sure, gladly. Everyone, I assume most people here have already heard the first version, but I think that the next version is marginally more polished and brings the concept better together.
Yeah,
so,
and it'll be good for anybody who's here today who hasn't heard it to hear it, so that they know what they're voting on later in the stream. So if you don't mind reading that, I'm going to hop up for just a minute. I will be right back, and it will let me get
short.
some fluids into me as well.
Yes. In and out. IO ports. Engage. Okay. What is the show equivalent of bullseye? Commitments. What? Warp spider? What? What is this in reference to? What? Oh, good God! Why? Never mind. Okay. As to what is the equivalent of bullseye? Die. Out, war spider. Out. With that, on appropriate forms. Tesh adjusted her shoulder seals, a rate with a fitting. Discomfort would have been preferable to the unsightly tautness. The sound of her clicking tongue breaching the overall din and catching Gray's attention as he fiddled with his own suit last-minute prep was a delicate time. You've over-tightened again, she said. My entire top is going to crease. His eyes widened, forearms moving around in a practiced cascade, the forelimbs shifting to rebalance the seals, others alternating between balance and anchor by a nearby railing. It's for airwalk, came the retort as he made some slack, but only jest. I don't want to flutter. Flutter looks undisciplined. Satisfied click when the Tide Warden insignia snapped into place, he added. A resonant piece of coral with a cutting tip sliding away doubts out of every observer. Tesh snorted, her shroud firmly open. Flutter looks alive, Ray. It's a social shift, not mission briefings. I can't believe you pulled out your warden plating. Her forelimb bridged for her delicate fur fuzz. The beast trilled and nuzzled, heat dispersing through Tash's carry pocket. Perhaps the only thing on Shoal everyone agreed was cute and useful and horrible problem, all packed in the same lively exothermic bundle. She touched it again, and it receded in a gurgling content. Ray glanced down at himself. The plating made itself known between ferro-clad ribs, locked by flexible membranes, encompassing enough of the torso and tail to emphasize the martial status. Coloring dull to avoid reflective surfaces, and even this close to the surface, the outside pressure kept it all nice and compact. What if something comes up? He said. Later. He shifted his stance, bracing. First you loosen, Tash said automatically. Always loosen for air. You can't carry the sea with you. You'll have to tighten up again anyway. Might as well look alive. Ray nodded, letting the seals and his shroud relax. The shift was subtle but immediate. Posture changed, balance redistributed, weight moving higher in his serpentine frame. Elatical had bones to inhabit their space, not just chitin or muscle. Bones let you rest easy in whatever posture you chose. Thinking back, Ray added as he observed the other pairs rising towards the surface gate, crowds flaring with attention and worry. We make it look easy, he mused, fingers fiddling, moving between forms, crossing spaces. Tash's resonance darkened slightly. A note of an old thought. Because it was easy for us, relatively speaking, of course. A suggested opinion. Laticals are transitional adaptation, after all. They stood at the boundary platform. Well, the boundary platform. God damn it. Well, where water met pressure lock met and pressure lock met air. Beyond the transparent viewing panels, Shoal rolled and sank below. Above, the dim promise of open space waited, Luastra hiding Mern until it was little more than a bright crescent. The way I heard it told, Ray said as they slither walked towards the surface gates. When the third cephalonid came up the benthic shelf, they asked why we bothered with clothing at all. When they had to rise on land, Tash replied, they asked why everything hurt. Ray laughed, a quick, bright ripple through his vibrant crest. They took so long. The Podlands at least had their four chambers. It wasn't anything like the surface travel, yet. With respect, Cephalonids are deep thinkers, Tash said with a gentle tone. They are not in a hurry to leave themselves. She gestured with one hand, tracing an invisible curve. They grew perfect for pressure and quiet. We just kept going. They considered that. In the Wardens, we called it ongoing circumstances. Unfinished morphology, Tash continued. Forearms, amphibious lungs, skin that tolerated change, and Moth knows that we could never stay put. Shoal punishes those who pretend the world will remain stable. We never gave up on having our hinds either, even with our beautiful tails. She swished hers pointedly, as her adenoid clicked in annoyance as the thick limb nearly bumped an armored chitinous leg. Ray tightened one clasp again, experimentally. That's why we crossed first, isn't it? Reefs, shores, air, flotsam stations. Yes, Tash said. And also why other things were restless. And they think we're strange, Ray added. Tash's shroud warmed. Thriving in Shoal requires being strange. It keeps us honest. They watched a cephalonid envoy drift past the lower spar, mantle folded tight, interface gleaming with careful redundancy. It would take them minutes to reconfigure for air, hours perhaps before comfort returned. Ray tilted his head. Ease of motion never left him. Even as environs shifted rapidly, they passed the midlocks, doors opening as water receded and lungs pulled in air. Pressure changed, and their clothings with it. Plating became supportive scaffold rather than restrictive shells. Smoothing droplets from his insignia, Ray turned to Tesh. Twisting smoothly aside for another stranger, he mulled over her assertions. Still can't imagine being dependent on a bonded bioform, or how my own shell. He flexed his tail and scratched and stretched his eyes. Tesh smiled, all four hands resting easily where they were needed. Moon's light played across her silvery mesh cape. She was ready to go, catching his thoughts without looking. Don't overthink that. They have their ways. You've yet to figure out yours. Gills, lungs, hinds, tails, swim, walk, build, hold. A little bit of everything. A snazzy crest to shine, Ray said, thumping his mid-plates. The sudden sound made another surfacing visitor click in irate weariness. They stood together for a moment, watching the waves lap the shore under the pale moonlight, touching the shrouds briefly, exchanging impressions. Feels like being spoiled for choice. I like it, Ray said, pulling his hinds closer and snaking his long tail forward. Tesh leaned ahead and adopted a stately gait. So do I, she said. That's the whole point. The end.
Excellent. I like that. That'll be a nice piece of flavor text in the compendium. I think that is good. A discussion of clothing is a wonderful thing, and weaving culture into it is excellent use of our world building. So let's do the poll now while we're thinking about it. Which species gets flavor text next? And we will have the choice of our podlans, our cephalinids, our ceratinoids, and our Salacians.
Corbin says cephalinids.
Well, we're going to put it to a vote. You guys have 2 minutes. Yep, that's all set up correctly. Start poll. So let us know which one you guys want to be done next. And I will scroll. Corbin says he's voted already. It's decided.
Of course it is.
Well, it's currently between podlans and ceratinoids. So, you know, get your votes in. Who do you want next to have some flavor text written about them? Ceratinoids are currently winning. Oh, so Doctor Who is looking for a direct, punchy, 2-syllable exclamation of direct hit, but something more shoaly. So if anyone has any ideas, feel free to drop them. I did like Wilf's, you know, hitting the pearl. You know, you'd have to be able to hit the pearl from this distance, etc. Thank you, Aloe, for coming in and contributing to the joke that we've moved past. It was funny yesterday. I don't think we need it every day. Thank you, though, Aloe, for your addition. Yeah, you guys do love your crabs. Chat does love their crabs. Alrighty, while you guys are putting in your votes, I am going to shift over what we're looking at because we have some actual novel stuff to look at, and that'll be fun.
Yeah, so Red has done some work, some actual work, unlike us lazy layabouts.
I've had a week. It's been interesting.
There has been an Uma Musume storm song. I think we understand what sort of a week we're talking about.
Is there anybody who hasn't seen the Uma Musume Storm song? Would you guys like me to show it? Goodbye, Aloe. Thank you for coming in. The Ceratinoids win. So it's going to be Ceratinoids next, please, Lictor.
Okay.
No, but yes, show the thing. Okay, we'll do that before we move on to other things. I'll turn the shoal crab on and then I'll change what he's pointing to so I can show you guys. It will be in here, it will be here, it will be too big, and then we will make it the right size. Because damn do I love me some big canvases. There we go. Almost fits.
How long did it take you to make this?
About 3 days. About 3 days from sketch to completion.
Ow.
And I was doing some studying while I was working on it. The stupid thing is, technically speaking, this is the best piece I've ever drawn. The best thing I have ever created is an anime horse girl version of Storm Song. Because I was learning new techniques while I was doing this that I want to go on to apply to other art. This thing has ambient occlusion. It has subsurface scattering. It has shadow edging. All things that I have not done in my work prior.
I don't even know what these words mean.
I will be very happy to teach them to you and give you a video tutorial that I was learning from, because I feel like my line art is my strongest thing. I can do really crisp lines. I've gotten good at that. But my design theory and my colour and my technique are all things that I want to improve. So I went and looked up a tutorial for colouring to go alongside my course that I have and all of the different things that I was looking at to try and get me started on using some new techniques. And the other big thing I did here was my design, because I DM Storm. I was like, what's your favourite clan from Battletech? With no context. I just asked the question and he wanted clan Goliath Scorpion. And so then I went and had a look at their iconography and I was like, right, how do I translate this into horse racewear and have it read correctly? And that was a fun challenge.
And that's how the hair got done, I see.
The hair took forever. It took me as long to draw the hair and the tail as the entire rest of it.
I can see why.
It took forever.
No, it didn't take forever. It took you 3 days.
It did take me 3 days. Yes.
You goddamn monster.
See, I still feel like that's really slow, but you know, the reason why I feel that's slow though is because I compare that to some of the things that my art mentor is capable of doing in the same time period, and the teacher for the art course that I have access to. I have very, very much been following Mark Brunette, who used to be a character designer at Blizzard in the early Overwatch days and has since gone on to become an art teacher online. And he's just capable of making the most amazing art in a couple of hours. But he's been doing it for many, many more years than I have at a professional level. So time and experience all feed into things, and I'm a little bit kinder to myself than I used to be.
As well you should be. You're amazing. This is amazing.
Thank you.
And if I have been forced to take compliments, then so are you.
yes, but you know, this was fun. I taught myself things while I was doing it, because here on WBPL 76 we whole ass our shit posts. So yes, that was what I made. That was what I made. Tired German, we all always do, and the joy is in the journey, and I love your art. I absolutely love your art, and would be very happy to share resources with you as well, should you want them. Corbin says he can belittle us both if it helps balance things. No, that's your job, is to take the abuse thrown at you. That is what you exist for. You goddamn jacked, ridiculous man, you. Corbin being the Australian friend I was talking about at the start of stream, who has been on an amazing health journey. And this man now looks like he has fruit under his arms. He has just, like, the biggest muscles out of nowhere. And I'm so proud of him.
That man's got cantaloupes.
Yes.
Tired German says curious and would be grateful. I will very happily send some things your way, Tired German. If you don't hear from me after stream, DM me and be like, oi, stop being forgetful, and I will send you the things.
They will.
Hello,
It
Lizzie.
does.
How are you? Thank you for bringing the shoal crab in. It is lovely to see you. We are currently talking about stupid shit posts I did this week before we move on to proper writing stuff. I promise we will get back to proper writing stuff in a minute.
Yes. We will get to it. However, it's not stupid, because you learned a lot and clearly chose.
Yes, yeah. I think as I continue to use these techniques going forwards, things will look better. But what I really liked with this was that after I'd employed the things that I was doing for the first time, having never used them before, my shading doesn't look muddy. Everything looks nice and clear and crisp and gradiated, and I think that's the best that I've done so far. So for the moment, I'm pleased and proud of this piece, shitpost as it is. Come back to me in a year and I'm sure I'll hate it and point out everything I did wrong.
Yes. So that's the cycle of art.
Yeah,
This
it
is my
is.
greatest. This is my greatest work in a year. This is just some scrap I tossed together with three days of grit. It has a part of my soul in it, but I won't admit it because I look what I did last week. It took me half the time and looks so much better.
Yep. I mean, that's the truth of any art. It's the same for writing, it's the same for drawing, it's the same for sculpting. Whatever it is you're doing, that is the art progression cycle, art evolution.
It's the same for coding.
Yeah, because you see things that you like and you endeavor to emulate them and you think, I'll never be good enough, I can't do it, because you haven't learnt the skills yet. But with time and patience and practice, you start to learn some of the techniques and skills, and eventually your hands catch up to your eyes and you can write or draw or make the thing at the level that you were aiming for. And you're like, oh, hey, I can actually use some of these techniques. I can do some of this stuff. That's really cool. And then you start noticing, other things that are better than yours. And then you start noticing the flaws in your work. And you're like, oh no, I thought I'd done really well. But turns out I'm shit at this. I'm really bad at this. And you're not. It's just that because you're now more experienced and more trained and better, you can now notice flaws that you weren't educated to notice before. And that's your next level to overcome and move past and then keep going. Yes, Chocobo, we made up our own fake Uma Musume knockoff called Star League Derby, Pretty Derby Legends. Yeah, Ed Gauss is right. The key is to say, fuck it, I'll make shit, and start making anything. And then just enjoy the process, keep going, be very willing to keep improving. And yeah, it's okay if something you were very proud of, you now hate, because it means you've evolved and you'll apply that into your next piece, which is great.
You're allowed to change.
Yes. Yes.
Here, you heard it in my deep dark voice. You're allowed to change. Forgive yourself. Be kind.
I think I
Rewind.
probably will do Desir Umas at some point this year, Corbin. And yes, I'm probably going to draw you as a completely feral version of Goldship, which, considering Goldship is already a complete gremlin, that should be fun. I feel like this isn't even a shitpost. It looks like a real game or anime. That is the highest compliment. What I was trying to make was a piece of like promotional splash art that looked like it belonged in a game. I can see the areas and flaws where I don't have the techniques yet to actually hit that professional level. But if this was for, say, an indie game in the same genre, this would probably pass muster. At least I think it would, and that makes me very proud. I think I did good work here. I pushed myself, and it's made me a better artist.
Yeah, if you want, I can pass it by someone who will pass it muster. If
Oh
you want.
God, no! I don't think I'd handle the very legitimate feedback.
Okay.
Introspective is making the very, very
She was
important.
very kind to me when I did my first passes at drawing Max. I mean, you've seen my pieces. She
Yes,
helped
but
me
your
a-
mech pieces are amazing.
Only if you take the same level of compliments, Red.
I'll
You don't
try.
get to pass.
I'll
You don't
try.
get to pass on compliments without taking some of your own. You shoot flack, you get flack.
Yeah. Anyway, writing. We're here for
Anyway,
writing
yes.
stream.
Yes.
Storma Musume has left the building. I'm sure she will be back at some point to terrorize our lives.
Get complimented, nerd.
No, I refuse. You can't make me.
Watch me. I'll see Corbin on you.
Oh God, please don't. I have to deal with him in other bits.
Corbin.
Alrighty. So I've pulled up on the right side our bullet points we made for what our entire story is going to look like. And so far we've got a good first draft of chapters 1 and chapter 2. To sum up our story, for anybody who hasn't been here before and doesn't know what's going on, we have our first novel. We're setting on Shoal. It's going to be a sort of pulpy action-adventure type thing in the style of The Mummy and Indiana Jones. We have a human character that we're sort of following as our main character, with a cast of other significant characters around him. And it's going to be a story that allows people to experience Shoal for the first time. Our story opens with Jake on Shoal to sort of give people that initial injection into the setting, and then he leaves his habitat to go out into the ocean that is the majority of Shoal, where he sees a formalized ritual duel going on because the city that they're in, Songgorge, values that manner of debate and conflict resolution, and it's a very formalized fight that they're watching that's based on points. And Jake and his mentor Umi, who is a latical, observe the fight, and he finds out it's about him. One of the people who's fighting wants to get his autograph, etc., on a piece of memory coral, whereas the other person is like, you can't just let, alien minds imprint on our sacred coral. What if it gets into the main archives, etc.? No, and this is not culturally appropriate. So they're having a fight about that, and Jake's like, oh god, I never intended to be the source of all these things, and whoever wins, if the dude wins, he's going to come and ask me for an autograph, and I really don't want to set in stone the first cultural touchstone of whether this is okay or not. I am not qualified to make that decision. At which point Umi goes, you know what the easy solution is? Let's just not be here when they're done. And so chapter 2 ended with them being like, yes, it's probably best if we leave, and then they see the titans of their expedition party coming up to join them. That was where we'd finished off. We talked, the last time we talked about our book, we were talking about what the titans should look like, and we were going to have them arrive, which is the bit that I've written, and then the expedition needs to leave to go and join the migratory city of Gleamwake, and I didn't want to write that bit without some more input from chat. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to read you guys what I've written for chapter 3. We can then have a chat about what's here and how you guys feel about it. And then from there, we can go on to plot out what we think the rest of the chapter should look like, what events we think should actually happen surrounding Gleamwake, and then that will be something I can polish up for next week or for the week after, depending on what next week's stream looks like, as we'll have company. Does that sound good to you guys? Let's see what chat's saying.
Yes.
Chat, I need a Titan name. Greg. I mean, we have a Titan named Benny. We can have a Titan named Greg. Paragon of Slumbering. See, Greg. But not old Greg. Please, not old Greg. Okay, so it's going to be a Tide Warden that hunts pirates. It's an awakened paragon. So it's probably going to have a number attached to it. So let's see. 064 Charlie. Levi's not a bad name.
It's the translation for Pinchas. Phineas, right? Phineas is the dude who stabs people with a spear.
The problem is, though, is that anyone says Phineas, I immediately think of Phineas and Ferb, which is a fantastic cartoon that had no right to be as good as it was, and you will never get me to think of any other Phineas.
I like Animus. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm stuck with it's Pinchas, and this is the guy who stabs people with a spear.
Animus is pretty good.
Animus
okay, here we go. Let's try this. Halcyon Animus. Annie for short. There you go. I combined several of our ideas together. Doofenshmirtz Evil Incorporated, yes. Yeah. 064 Charlie, Halcyon Animus. Annie. A platypus? Perry the platypus? I might have to rewatch some Phineas and Ferb at some point, just for some fun background noise. Genuinely, that cartoon has no right to be as good as it is. It is a masterclass in shape theory, in character development, in how to write running jokes. Just no right to be as good as it is. Right, let's do some reading of nonsense I have written. I will now inflict my words upon you, chat. Be afraid. Be very afraid. Alrighty. Chapter 3. The Titans climbed. They came up the throat of the gorge, their outline sharpening as they rose through the bands of biolight and shadow. The chatter in the water thinned. Where a moment ago the song around Jake had been full of replayed throws and bright-edged amusement from the finished duel, now it dropped into something quieter, more focused. Shrouds drew in. Excitement cooled to a respectful hum. Song Gorge made room for its giants. The first to break clear of the lower haze was the Tide Warden. Jake had always thought of crabs as sideways things, but Nick moved straight up, a bipedal silhouette striding along a sheer coral wall as if it were flat ground. His main body was a compact, armoured torso, broad in the shoulders, narrowing to hips where two powerful legs gripped into grown-in footlocks, anchoring each step. The lines were all new, plates smooth and unmarred by more than a few training scrapes, coral-infused armour still holding that faint pearly sheen of recent production. On his right side, a long forelimb ended in an oversized claw assembly, a multi-jointed manipulator that could, Jake knew, just as easily lift a damaged hatch clear as fold itself into a weapon. The left arm was slimmer, more articulated, ringed in fine thruster novels for micro-adjustments. Over both shoulders sat weapon hardpoints currently sealed, smooth hemispheres marked with warden glyphs, ready to iris open if needed or connect to the big weaponry of the warden service. Thrusters along his back pulsed in measured beats, throwing off slow vortices. Each pulse came with a soft bass note in the water, a steady thunk, thunk he could feel through his suit. As Nick's main array of biolights flickered from deep patrol blue to a more neutral white, Jake's HUD finally tagged him. Tide Warden Patrol, Titan 00 Alpha, Felonic, Nick. Status, green. Pilot, Hodaka Yushi. Behind Nick, slower and heavier, came Echo. When Nick hugged the wall, Echo seemed to lean on it. Her central hull was taller than Nick's, but more rounded, a cathedral of armour grown around a core of very old reef. Cargo bays bulged along her flanks, some sealed, some currently empty, each rimmed with heavy latch points. From her underside and lower back trailed bundled tendrils. Thick coral cables and articulated arms, coiled tight for now like the roots of a tree pulled up and walking. Along her upper hull sat rows of resting drones. Sleek, finned shapes clamped to hardpoints in neat lines. Dead still, their own lights dark as sleeping eyes. Her plating didn't gleam like Nick's. It glowed. Lines of biolight ran through it in slow, layered patterns, colours too complex for Jake's suit to easily categorise. The song around her was deeper, older, like someone had taken a reef's worth of history and braided it into one moving presence. His HUD stamped her ID across his vision. Temple Guardian, Library Titan 50X Mentum, Echo. Status, green. Pilot, Magarel Mags Narina. The watching Shoalie reacted before Jake had words. The loose ball of dual spectators dissolved in orderly ripples. Latical unfurled from their watching perches and slipped sideways, tails flicking. Podlands broke their tight clusters and swam to the walls, shells brushing the coral as they cleared space. Even the Archaea shark types moved aside with uncharacteristic care, their jagged smiles subdued. Shrouds that had been bright and spiky from the fight folded in against their owners, attention turning outward and downward in deference. Wardens, someone pulsed in the song, the emotional flavour something between respect and better behave now. Temple Guardian, another mind whispered, soft with awe. Jake's suit compensated as the new currents hit, altering his jets to keep him from being pushed into Umi. The Councillor's shroud tightened, calm and composed, the emotional equivalent of straightening one's jacket. Nick slowed as he reached their level, locking one foot into a docking recess in the wall and then the other. When he spoke, his voice projected into the water and through the song both. Red Spire Jewel Cluster, he said. The timbre was youthful, a clear tenor overlaid with the faint harmonics of his own choral. Confident, no nonsense. This is Tide Warden Patrol Titan 00 Alpha Felonic. The Gorgeway expects convoy operations. Please clear the lane and adjacent currents within 100 body lengths. The words were formal, the cadence like he'd practiced it, but there was a hint of bounce beneath them, the eagerness of a frame that liked to move. Jake watched the remaining onlookers scatter with a speed they hadn't shown for the fight. No one argued with a warden when it came to traffic. Authority backed by artillery, Kilo observed. An efficient combination. Behave, Jake muttered. Nick's sensor cluster tilted towards them next. Councillor Umi Minaseo, Nick said, and there was a shade of warmth threaded through the title. Surface-born Jacob Salaval, you are on time. A brief, almost playful pause. I am very proud of you both. Jake opened his mouth to answer and then realised the Titan wasn't actually looking at him. He was aligning on Umi and the ID tag over Jake's suit together, his awareness broad enough to hold both. Umi's lower hands flickered in a compact sign that Jake recognised as the latical equivalent of a polite bow. Nick, Umi said aloud. Warden, it is good to see your frame in one piece. It is good to be in one, Nick replied. A tiny ripple of boyish satisfaction ran under the words. We have not had a proper patrol outside the gorge in 3 shifts. A hatch irised open on Nick's chest plating with a soft whine. A small bloom of bubbles escaped as inner pressure equalised, then a latical head and upper torso emerged into the open water, harness cables keeping him snug against the mech. Hodaka looked notably younger than Umi, though Jake couldn't say exactly why. Narrower shoulders perhaps, fins marked with fresher, unfaded patterning. He flipped a salute with one hand, the gesture loose but sincere. Councillor, he called, clicks lagging just a little behind the translator's rendering. You brought our scholar whole. I owe Kilo 3 bets. You should not gamble against AIs, Kilo said at once. Statistically, you will lose. Jake blinked, then laughed, the sound startling itself out of him. You were betting I'd be late? He asked. That you would be distracted, Hodaka corrected, grinning wide enough to show a full set of sharp teeth. With fighting, or with song, or with your own thoughts. His gaze ran approvingly over Jake's exosuit. You look less easy to break than last time. Flattering, Jake said. I do my best. Pose later, Nick said dryly, his vocalizer flattening the amusement in Hodaka's shroud into deadpan. Temple Guardian on approach. Echo had been rising all this time, steady and unhurried. Now she came within the same band of light, and Jake felt the song bend around her. It was not that she was bigger, though she was if you accounted for her coiled tendrils and broader hull. It was that she was older. Her shroud moved through the water like deep tide. Slow, massive, unconcerned with the small chop on the surface. As she drew level with them, the biolight patterns along her plating shifted, subtle colours flowing in a long, deliberate wave from prow to stern. The drones along her back stayed dormant, but their hardpoints pulsed in sympathetic rhythm, a silent roll call. She did not need to ask the crowd to clear. They already had. Temple Guardian Echo, Umi said, and his shroud dipped in respect in a way Jake hadn't seen for anyone else yet. It is good to see you. We are ready to move when you are, ma'am. Echo answered with a sound that wasn't quite speech and wasn't just the creak of armour. It was a chord, 3 notes, layered and resonant, rippling through the coral around them. Jake's implant translated the emotional content. Recognition, satisfaction, a hint of dry approval, before the station's linguistic network finished rendering it into words. Councillor Umi, surface-born Jacob Salaval. Echo's voice was lower than Nick's, rich with age. If Nick was clean synth, Echo was a pipe organ. Every syllable carried the weight of someone who had been obeyed for a very long time. Your timing is acceptable, albeit perhaps messy. Messy only from the jewel, Umi said, unoffended. Songgorge is alive today. Our alien guest generates curiosity. Something I am sure will accompany us to Gleamwake, Echo said. We must leave presently if we are to make our rendezvous. The floating city waits for no one. Jake felt fresh excitement and anticipation flush up his spine. He'd heard of the migratory fleets as part of his Shoal education packet, but this would be the first time he saw one. Guardian Echo, Kilo said, tapping into the comm channel with the crisp efficiency she reserved for authority figures. This unit holds our flat box hab. Cargo weight and contents manifest transmitting now. Received, Echo said. He could almost feel her attention flick sideways for a heartbeat, encompassing data as easily as water. Attach it. A set of lower tendrils uncoiled from her hull like waking snakes. 4 at once, thick as Jake's exosuit torso. Their ends split into delicate manipulating fronds, each pad glowing faintly. They moved with a precision that made Jake's engineering brain purr. One tendril reached to the wall near where his hab had been, brushing against the pale rectangle of compacted human tech, now reduced to a provisional cradle. Flat, featureless hull metal with a few standard grapples. Her fronds grasped the flat box with gentle firmness, testing weight. Another tendril slid along its underside to find the balance point. "Mass verified," she said. "Harmless. I will complain anyway." Jake's shoulders eased a little as his entire living space disappeared under Echo's hull, drawn up onto one of the heavy cargo hardpoints. Latches clamped shut with a satisfying chunk, status lights around the ring flipping green. "That," Kilo said privately, "is the safest your belongings have been in 3 months." Jake couldn't argue. Echo's tendrils folded back in, finding their rests. Her biolights settled into a slow, purposeful pattern. "Convoy Corps is assembled," she said. "Councillor Umi, Jacob Salaval, please attach yourselves. We will depart." Umi moved first. He swam forward with a Latical's economical grace, tail flicking once to bring him to Echo's side. From his waist, he detached one end of a series of high tensile bands, snapping them to mounted rings on Echo's side. His shroud settled, comforted by the contact as he tightened down the clip fastenings. "Come," Umi said, looking back at Jake. "Do not worry. Echo has carried more delicate things than you." "That is both reassuring and not," Jake muttered. He fired his suit's jets in a short, controlled burst and drifted up to the Titan's side. Up close, Echo's hull filled his vision. The composite plating was a patchwork of expert repairs and original growth, edges smoothed by years of water and maintenance. Tiny etchings, glyphs, numbers, personal marks, ran along the seams where coral met metal. The glow from her biolights painted his armour in shifting colours. He followed Umi's lead with his own cables, his suit transferring a surprising degree of fine motion movement into the end effectors of his arms. For a heartbeat, he had a flash of being a kid again, clipped to a line on a boat because adults didn't quite trust him not to fall overboard. "All secure?" Echo queried. "Yes, ma'am," Umi answered. "We will try not to scuff anything." "You will," she said with absolute certainty. "It is all right. I have been scuffed by worse." On Nick's shoulder, Hordaka ducked back into his cockpit. The hatch sealed with a twist. That should be on Nick's chest. I got that wrong. Why did I do that? There we go. On Nick's chest, Hordaka ducked back into his cockpit. The hatch sealed with a twist, bubbles streaming away. Nick's lights shifted again from greeting white to a sharp patrol green. "Convoy Corps ready," Nick said. "Echo, I have point. I will clear our path to Gleamwake." "Take the front, little warden," Echo replied. There was affection in the little that made Jake smile. "Do not race every fish we meet. I have neither your youth nor your reaction thrusters." "No promises," Nick said, engines flaring. His legs unlocked from the wall and he pushed off into the open water, turning his broad back to face up gorge, towards the higher levels and the open sea beyond. Echo shifted in his wake. Jake felt it before he saw it. A deep, slow build in the engines buried somewhere under her hull. The water around them tightened, then flowed. "Hold on," Kilo advised. "Ascending." Song Gorge peeled away beneath them. As Echo took her first heavy step off the wall and into the gorge proper, the city's terraces and walkways slid down past Jake's field of view. Balconies, marketplace nodes, transit channels, layers of life he'd just been swimming through moments ago, rolled away like shelves in some enormous library, their lights dimming with distance. Above, the water brightened, shading from deep greens into clearer blue as they rose through the higher currents, where the migratory city of Gleamwake would wheel past on its own slow journey. Jake felt the pull of that brightening, and the faint tremor of anticipation in both Nick's crisp young shroud ahead of them and Echo's deep, patient tide beneath his hands, as the convoy turned its face towards whatever waited out there in Shoal's wide, living sea. And that was the end of where I got to.
That was great.
Excellent. Let's see what chat is saying. I mean, obviously this is first draft, rough draft, etc. We will do some tidying up in the future as necessary. But let's see overall what people have to say. And have a drink.
Yes, do that.
A Ferrofuzz? Frank the Ferrofuzz? Oh god, are we going to write the Shoaly version of Phineas and Ferbs?
A Ferrofuzz would hunt your dreams.
Yes.
It will sit there, trilling to itself. Quiet. Happy. Demure.
Editing
until
note,
it
did we introduce
fries.
the names of the Titans, or is Jake familiar with the names already? We implied that Jake knew who he was travelling with, so Jake would know the names, but this is the first time the audience sees the names. And yes, yeah, you did notice that they came up.
Yep.
Lizzie likes Iris as a verb. Yes. I just have that sort of I know what it was is at the time when I was sitting down and watching some of this, I had somebody doing a long play of Alien Isolation on in the background, and I just absolutely love the irised vents on the Nostromo, and obviously that have carried over into the station in Alien Isolation. So I just had those on my brain.
Take what you love.
Yep.
Put it in your stories.
Is Stormy was a part of the Shoal universe? Thank God no, though we could at some point talk about what racing looks like on Shoal and what recreational activities people bet on.
Well,
Might be something to look at when we have the compendium in a more progressed state and we're adding more stuff in.
Well, the easiest way to look at it is, the Shoal equivalent of parkour. Cityscape traveling. Oh, the problems it's going to cause.
There was a water break redeemed by Lord Troa, and drinking more water is a goal this year, so I will gladly take that water break. Thank you.
Yes. Provide water.
A tired German says that's good, but I'm not good at following audiobooks. I prefer printed displayed books. I think one of the things I need to do is take everything we've written so far and translate it over into a Google Doc as well, so that if people want to read this in between times, they can. Obviously, it's still going to be the rough draft version and not finished because we're not there yet, but I'm happy to put this into a written form for people.
That'll be good.
Every mention of an iris makes me think of Stargate. I mean, I'm not sad about that. The Stargate series was very good as well. The hab is still something I want to nail down how it works, but I've been busy with other things. Yep, and that's fine. We're in rough drafting at the minute. We've got plenty of time before this book will be anywhere near done, and we can happily make some edits as necessary when we're in the editing phase and we've made some more decisions on things people think need adjusting. That's completely fine.
Yep.
Umamu C. May. No. Gold ship is still the same. Yes. Yeah, if we had a gold ship equivalent on Shoal, absolutely, she would still be the same.
You guys are saying words.
Doctor Who has made a good point here. Mags is a nickname. Why would that be part of her info pop-up? You're right, that shouldn't be there. And I know exactly why it got there. It's because I was lifting information from our character creation, and because it was there, I copied it over and didn't think about it. Which is why having other people look at your work is important. And also going back and doing editing passes. There we go. That's that problem quickly and easily fixed. I'm bullet pointing 3 different stories. Nothing will ever be done. Yeah, I'm mood. I have like 9. A G-Doc would allow continued and more detailed discussion. Yeah, I'm quite happily to just do a Google Doc because that makes it easy for everybody. Comments can be made in there then. Most people have access to it. And this, effectively, Shoal is a sort of somewhat open-sourced concept. Anybody who comes and joins in chat and does things with it, it's considered, part of Shoal. It doesn't belong to any one individual. So I'm not worried about, oh, we're hosting it on Google and what does that mean? It doesn't matter. We can put it there. That's fine.
It's
The info
ours.
pop-up will probably have pilot name, mech type, and mech name. Yeah, I've made that edit. That's in there. That is in there. I think having the mech's nickname makes sense because that's what they're commonly called, but it also has their full designation.
I think weight class and role should be a part of the full.
So both of them had their role listed, Tide Warden and Temple Guardian. I didn't have their weight class listed though. We could
Tide
do that.
Warden and Temple Guardian is not a role; it's a faction.
That's true. Okay, they have their factions. They don't have their roles listed.
Just in the short name I pulled up for Doctor Who. Where is it? It's a little bit up. Riptide Harrow 07X Java class Hull Breacher. So you have the name, you have the how many frames it can come through, you have the class of it, and you have its role.
How will that work for Tide Wardens that can adjust their roles over time? Just with its
Well,
current
it's
role and then it gets updated later?
Yeah.
Okay.
Data is organic.
Yep, no, that's fine. I'm literally just asking the question. Is this something that becomes sort of set, or is this something that evolves with their life?
I think some Titans are, first of all, Titans are built with a role in mind for the most part, simply because engineering works that way. However, a role is a broad thing, and you can do things within a role.
Yep.
Thirdly, like everything else in Shoal, as the Laticals are so eager to point out, things change and things get reutilized and reused. And Titans live a very long life, potentially. The fact that they had a role doesn't mean it keeps being, and since it's temps, it's not a computer. One of the things...
Yes, Coral adjusts much more organically than human computing does.
It's not a human computer. If you mistype a piece of data, Coral doesn't care about your typos. It will adjust. It knows what you mean.
Yes, it's much better at parsing that. Okay, yeah, no, I was literally just asking the question, not judging the statement, and it seems that other people are also agreeing. So yeah, we will do that. Doctor Who also made the good point that the nickname shouldn't be used before the full name has come in. So I will make those adjustments as well, Doctor Who, when I do a full read through of this. I will come in and make some of those adjustments. Let me copy that editing note down, because you are correct. We don't want to confuse the audience. We want things to have the appropriate weight. Let me put this in here. So yeah, good note to make. And the joys of communal writing.
The joys of having other people coming up with ideas and actually, making a fun conversation. So thank you guys. We can blame you for anything that goes wrong.
Okie dokie. Titan class Warden Regenesis. I mean, Nick's Warden, what his job role is at the end of this is going to get so complicated for him, bless him, because of what we're planning to do to this poor young mech.
Well,
can I get some Coral for my spell check? I always manage to stump the web browser. Oh no.
I think you should. It'll be good for you.
The net's gone down. Well, what's wrong with it? And I don't know. Did you feed the Coral this morning? No.
Well, there you have it. What do you mean you didn't feed the Coral?
You didn't feed the internet this morning, you idiot.
Yeah, it's not, are you insane? Are you trying to get the prawn industry to a halt?
We do have the most ridiculous setting we've written, and I'm so proud of us. It's ridiculous in such a good and clever way.
Yes,
oh, that's interesting.
Yes, it is.
Let me put this into a normal font so I can see what this should be. Okay, it should be a lowercase n. That's what the problem is. Understood.
Is there a reason you're avoiding bioluminescence as a word and using biolight?
Mostly just so that it sounded a little bit differently, but we can use bioluminescence. I'm quite happy to go through and change it.
No. It's purely a question, because every time I see biolight, my brain translates to bioluminescence. Now, biolight is a much more reasonable word.
It's just tight. So it was just the word that flowed out of me while I was writing.
It is a much more sensible word. Again, it is not a judgment. It is right, that actually makes sense.
All right, so the next part of chapter 3 is going to be our team joining up with Gleamwake, and this is where we will also have them join up with Jabra and the other people who have been hired, because although we've got our main characters, I do think we'll have maybe 1 or 2 just other dudes that are with them. Or do we want it to be only Jabra and she's maybe agreed to meet them at Gleamwake? What do we feel on that regard? Admittedly, when we were bullet pointing, I don't think we were thinking that there'd be a couple of sort of, nameless NPCs with them. I think we were having just Jabra, weren't we?
I was under the impression that the expedition will include a few red shirts. Simply because you need people to haul and
we could absolutely go either way. One thing that we might want to do as time goes on, if we do add in just a couple of red shirt general people who are along for the ride, we haven't accounted for what happens to them when shit hits the fan in the story, which is fine because we can account for that as we get there and as it becomes important. We just need to make the decision of how big is our expedition going to be at this point. Do we want it to just be the characters that we've fleshed out? Do we want some NPCs along for the ride? I leave that entirely up to you guys to decide because we can make it work either way. Purely preference.
I have opinions, but chat should weigh in.
We'll give chat
first.
a chance to weigh in and then we will debate it like we do all things.
Oh dear. Are you suggesting civility again?
I know. Civility, cooperation, just...
Is that a tier you had speaking? It's the tier, right?
Gothdrop says, I feel Jabra is the most experienced there and a security leader. Just how nasty a fight is. So Jabra has a couple of security dudes with her. Maybe there is a base camp this group leaves from. I think Lips is right. We need grunts.
Jabra doesn't trust anyone to be her grunt when the story starts. That's part of the point. She was betrayed by her own children.
She was. They stole her ship. They stole her fleet. We're going to have fun writing about her in the future as well, I think. Jabra does have a bit of her loyal crew with her, but it would be mainly her mech. She doesn't have a mech.
She doesn't have a mech. She's a mech unto herself.
Yes. She does not have her own mech. Which she will prove is not always necessary for being bloody good at what you do. So, but yeah, having a couple of loyal junior crew with her, I'd be down for that. Yeah, they shouldn't have screen time. Yeah, these are going to be just sort of like generic grunts that are there. We're not going to spend a huge amount of time lingering on them. They're not going to be important people. We've established our important people, but do we need?
I would suggest having people to show off Umi's role as a leader.
Mm-hmm.
It's very hard to be a leader if you're not leading a bunch of people, and if you want to show that someone's important, just like you did with Echo, by the way, you need other people to show their deference.
Yes.
Otherwise, it's very hard to instill the sense of deference, importance, and experience. Someone else has to do the boo-boo that Umi spots and fixes and leads.
Okay, so what I'm thinking then is that the group will reach the rendezvous. They find their other hires organised at Song Gorge have arrived just ahead of them and are debating with the security guards for the city. I mean, we'll flesh that out as to what they'll be called and etc. later. I just need the general point. This group consists of Jabra, crack shell. 4 of her former crew who have stayed with her as haulers, enforcement, and general grunts, as well as, let's say, 3 other expedition members. 1 is a cook. And what do we want the other 2's job role to be? Because having somebody to just sort of cook while you're out doing the expedition, etc. Do we want them to just be 2 sort of general researchers? Let's see, what is chat saying? I mean, she's mostly a solo act, but I imagine having a couple of dudes with her who were like, yeah, no, we're sticking with the boss when she leaves. They don't have to be particularly well placed. They might be junior crew members who felt like staying behind would just get them killed, so they came with her. Rock shovelers and the like. So yeah, maybe 1 just general labourer who isn't a former crew member of Jabras, and 1 who's a just sort of general scientist. Or general recorder and data analyst, perhaps, whose job is to just catalogue the things that they bring back and categorise them. So that base carries them.
Max is junior.
Yeah, well, a junior from Mags, maybe a junior of Umi's, or somebody Umi's brought alongside.
Question.
Yes.
Why not a Titan Tech?
Titan Tech's a good idea. Yep. Okay, so
We're having at least 2 distinct
1
Titans.
is a cook, 1 is a data recorder, 1 is a research scientist, Max Junior. 1 is a mech tech I'm going to put in, because it won't just be Titans. I bet they'll be good at, other mechanized things as well. That gives us 4. Do we need any other job roles filled?
Say optic expert.
1 is a psyoptic expert with communications knowledge. Okay, that gives us 5. Let's see if chat thinks we should have anybody else. Not the intern! Can't all be Titan pilots. Yeah, that's true. Camera guy will be less needed because Echo has her drones for recording things.
That's the data recorder.
Yeah.
Regardless. I mean, it's the same guy.
It feels too many, but fills out the crew. Yeah, not all of these will necessarily be part of things. We're not going to focus over much on them. They're just sort of there to make what's happening make sense and facilitate background things that aren't the focus of the story. So, the crew comes back and they need to eat something and there's a meal prepared. Well, where did that come from? Well, we mentioned at the beginning that we brought a cook. The cook is here, and then in the mad scramble where everybody's leaving, it's like, oh my god, did we get everybody together? Have we done a head count? You can add to the panic without necessarily needing to spend excessive time with each individual. Who navigates? That would be a combination of our Tide Warden with his skill set and his Mex boost, and the Psyoptic expert would be able to help with that as well. In terms of accessing maps to layer it all over, Echo will have more maps than anybody knows what to do with.
Echo has been here. When? Don't ask questions you don't want the answer to. We were busy inventing tectonic movement when Echo came here first.
Do we need a quartermaster? Do we want to combine cook and quartermaster into one thing? That their job is purely to look after the camp and resources and keep track of what's where?
Seneschal. The word is seneschal. We are not building a vampire court here. We're going on an expedition.
Cook quartermaster, so Alfred. We don't need names for all of the soon-to-be chum. but a grounding point of it's not just 5 people setting out to explore an entire city. Yes. Yeah, no, I'm happy with us having additional dudes and figuring out what that looks like.
We are not Disney. We don't have to animate all of them. Words
Oh,
cost
thank
nothing.
God.
If words are what they exist, so we can toss words at them if we need and ignore them if we don't.
Okay, so we know we've got some grunts. So Jabra and the generic grunts and red shirts have arrived ahead of the rest of our crew. It's only when Umi and the Titans arrive that the security relents with being hard-ass annoyances and lets the entire group into Gleamwake.
It's a good question about the medic. German is correct.
Medic, yes. We do have medical facilities inside of Echo to a certain degree, but she's not a dedicated mech for that. So yes, having a medic would be a really good idea.
Alfred.
Oh, one is a medic.
Why are you? It could be interesting, perhaps, and add to the pressure that there is no dedicated medic. I mean, both Hordaka is obviously trained in first aid, and Mags also has access to more knowledge and limbs than she knows what to do with. So the reason they can patch it together, but having actual medical experience.
So what if we have a person who comes along, but they're a junior medic? Because the intention is, well, if we have medical needs, a junior medic combined with Echo's facilities, we should be fine. At least until, we can meet back up with the migratory fleet, if something significant happens. And then, of course, when Echo dies as part of the story, when everything goes wrong and you've got this junior medic who doesn't have the experience and isn't as well equipped, that adds your pressure point. How does that sound?
Sounds amazing.
Surely medic would have to be highly trained to be familiar with so many different physiologies. Yes, though, you can do all the learning in the world. Practical experience is also a very important thing. And I think maybe if we're going to have a medic, they've completed school, they know all of the things, they're incredibly intelligent, they've got the support of this wonderful research mech, until they don't, and shit's hit the fan in a way that nobody expected and definitely didn't appear in her textbooks.
Okay, so we agree it's
This could lead to complications when Jake suffers psionic backlash. Yeah, I think it will give us an interesting couple of pinch points having that.
Can we have a shallow waters ceratinoid medic?
I'm fine with that. Is chat fine with that? What does the community say? A shallow ceratinoid?
I need some counterweight to Jabra's inherent weightiness.
A bad bedside manner, but very practical at what they do. They won't just tell you to rub some dirt in it, but they'll have that exact tone while they're telling you what you actually need. Alrighty.
I just think that we need some counterweight to Jabra.
Yeah, no, I'm completely fine with that. Where did I put the medic? One is a junior medic. Let's put in brackets so I remember. Shallow water ceratinoid. Easy day.
Which is in no way in any familial relations to Jabra. Which is important.
Hi. Hi. Good girl. There we go.
Pets. Everyone redeem pets.
It is Anka I currently have on my hip. I am giving her head scritches. Crab medic sounds good. Click covers crabs and wounds and gives a good mirror to Jabra's preference for opening them. Yes. Uncle Ed says hi. Yes. You're currently getting pet by Ed.
So does Gothbrop.
And by Gothbrop.
The cook is a fat podlin. He's an uncle of
Yes.
Darren. The cook is a fat podlin. He's an uncle of Darren.
Okay. Fat podlin, possibly uncle. Possible.
I don't know. I don't know
Uncle
how
of
families of
Darren.
podlins work, but I believe that in some point, deep in their hearts, they're all cousins.
They're like kobolds. Everyone's an egg brother. Doesn't matter.
Exactly. Egg brother. Egg brother.
All right, let's continue plotting out what we're going to want the rest of this chapter to look like. So our dudes catch up. We've then got the two halves of our expedition finally meeting. We can spend some time with that. Gleamwake hasn't let them on board yet because they've taken one look at Jabra and her four dudes and gone, you guys are fucking pirates. No, I'm not going to believe you're part of this expedition we've approved until somebody with more magnitude turns up and proves it. Oh, okay, the Titans are here. Okay, I guess you are telling the truth. Yes, you can come aboard. And that will allow us to then move into Gleamwake proper. So we need to think about what Gleamwake is going to look like and what events we want to have happen here. So Gleamwake is one of our migratory cities. So let's do some writing on Gleamwake. We do have some notes. Yeah, I'm about to go and pull those up. So if I head into the compendium, floating
Someone
cities.
has been doing their homework.
Oh, I have. I've been very good. Flick to splinters. Gleamwake.
Look at that. Look at that, chat. Look at that.
Could have sworn
Red
we'd done
took
more
it.
writing on this. No, apparently
That
we
just
haven't.
took a compliment and didn't grumble.
All right, so Gleamwake is a psionically bonded flotilla that follows flowborn migration routes. They're more spiritual than commercial, considered sacred by many cephalinids and laticals. There's going to be lots of cephalinids and laticals here. They travel around the... If I bring up the map, I can show where this is. No, that's not the right thing. That's the right thing.
Now we know a little bit more about how things work on a notional level.
Yep.
We know that if you put the notes on the other page, because now we're seeing the map and not the
let me
notes.
pull that over because we don't have much on it, but we do have a little bit here. Here are our notes on Gleamwake.
But I can expand on it very easily. So we know that they have flowborn. Flowborn are
do we have them in the bestiary? They are a psionic migrating animal type that's kind of like eels, if I remember correctly.
Okay. I actually thought they were kind of like these things that the first Leviathans you meet in Subnautica.
I might be wrong. I need to go and have a look and see where they are in the bestiary. These would be...
One
Are they a
moment,
global
let me pull up the
species?
Subnautica.
Nope, not that. Not land. They're not going to be a freshwater species, or if they are, then we're going to need to have a saltwater version. So let's take a look. Chat might also be reminding me the notes we've made on flowborn, because I think flowborn, here we go. The flowborn, sometimes known as siren currents, are a truly unique animal, not just in the lakes but to all of Shoal. Flowborn are easiest to spot, though still very rare, by looking for ripples in the water that do not match the wind direction. These ribbon-like drifts are not caused by one animal, but a colony composed of thousands of translucent tendrilled organisms that wind together into long, sinuous coils. Flowborn use small psionic pulses and microcurrents to get around, steadily migrating around their homes as the close year turns. Flowborn are remarkable not just for their rarity or their unusual colony structure, but also for their psionic properties. Flowborn only appear in lakes and oceans with healthy coral populations, leading some to suspect that they are true symbiotes with the coral. This is only reinforced by reports from those Shoalie who have fallen asleep near to a flowborn colony, going on to experience vivid lucid dreams, often of ancient times or extinct species. Some Shoalie believe these dreams are not mere whimsy, but the memories of the lake, or ocean itself, or reef I should say. Flowborn feed passively by filtering microbial blooms and psionic residue. This makes them excellent water purifiers. Their psionic lullaby, the reason they are sometimes called siren currents, also helped to gently dissuade aggressive species like the Velmaret from areas they pass through. To date, no one has observed Flowborn being preyed upon, and no one knows why. So, reasons Gleamwake follows these guys is it indicates where you're going to have healthy coral that can be harvested, and also helps deter leviathans because of their calming
Okay,
effect.
so here is the few notes. The Flowborn are not the things you ride on. They are
No, they're
the
very
things
tiny.
that you're these are the things you follow. I think they have something that is comparable to the reefbacks from Subnautica
Mm-hmm.
that are sort of domesticated beasts of burden to carry the city with them. And
Okay.
these things communicate by a version of natural psyoptics with each other in a herd.
Okay, so Gleamwake is partially built on the backs of a herd of smaller leviathans that travel
Goliaths, maybe?
together.
As a
Goliaths?
name?
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
I mean, we've got Leviathans, which are the
Goliaths.
big ones, and the Goliaths, which are the smaller ones, and then we have
Travel
Titans.
together following the Flowborn for safety and to find and harvest the healthiest parts of
The funny thing about the Goliaths is that where they shit, they do the whale fall thing. They seed coral colonies in their wake.
Okay, Goliath
Refuse.
excrement helps to nurture and feed the reefs below as they pass over, ensuring good regrowth by the time the herd comes back. That works. Okay. Let's type in here. Flowborn help. Keep putting an E on the end of it because of Bloodborne. I'm hopeless. Flowborn help to dissuade leviathans. This is why the Shoal built Gleamwake around the Goliaths.
And now we have a three-directional symbiosis.
Yep.
The Flowborn are the the funny thing is that if you look at it from a side, if you glance it from the side, the Flowborn are essentially a low-level silence adaptation. Just read the text we have on them.
Mm-hmm.
They are essentially a more symbiotic, less parasitic type of silence. Or actually, these are the larger types. So it's not the silence, the doldrums, I think. The larger things that move around. So we have these guys on one end, which quiet the reefs. We have the Goliaths that nourish and cause them to grow, which in turn feed the Flowborn, and the Shoalies have roped themselves into it on the resonance that the Goliath and the Flowborn has between them and the coral below. The Gleamwake is relatively shallow.
Yep.
Relatively. So it gets a ton of energy from the surface radiation.
Mm-hmm.
And this allows for this exceedingly dispersed area, but also prevented the entire zone from becoming overly populated and overly exploited in the past. And I'm doing a little bit of world building here and this brings us that every Goliath supports a small I know the word in Hebrew. I'm sorry. This is where my English fails me. A group of families that's not yet a clan.
Okay.
In Hebrew, there's a word for it. It's called chamula. It's essentially the extended family,
Hmm.
uh, like a Bedouin traveling group. There's a patriarch, and there's a bunch of smaller families that are interconnected, and each such group has their own Goliath, which they tend to, and they together, a group of Goliaths, form the migratory city, which has 20, 200, I don't know, somewhere between 20 and 200
So
Goliaths.
let's say the city has a fluctuating number of Goliaths, but it's generally around, let's say, why don't we split the difference and say about 40? Generally
So it
around,
has a core of 40.
yeah, but it's generally around 40. Each mature Goliath hosts central housing and structures for extended, I'm going to put in brackets, family groups, brackets, tribes, extended family groups, who
Kin or
care
clan? No,
for
the
their Goliath.
the transformation, the translation to Hamula is kin. It is an extended family group. So if you have 40 families, it's not exactly an entire city.
However, what I want to add to this is your core people, so let me finish this through and then you can let me know what you think. So each mature Goliath
Okay.
hosts central housing and structures for extended family groups, kin group who care for their Goliath. Juvenile Goliaths who are being raised often have other kin groups who are not yet able to live on it, living with and around it, accounting for another swath of the population. Additional to this are the floating and submerged structures between the Goliaths, tethered to the large beasts by I'm just going to put by ropes in here at the minute. We'll think about, exactly what there'll be some kind of high tensile thing that allows them to just, because they're going to move quite slowly, to just bring other structures with them. This is where non-kin residents have lodging.
These things are known by the Gleamwakes as the drag.
Yes, this is where non-kin residents have lodgings, as well as for visitors, commercial ventures, etc. This is known to the Wakers as the drags.
Yes.
That then accounts for you having, a full city size of people without needing to have an insane number of beasts floating around. And it allows for some flux and flex in the way things are done. It allows for us to have some things that will be above surface and making use of the wind, some things that will be below surface, and everything's moving as one unified group thanks to the Goliaths, which are sort of setting the pace for everything. How do we feel about this chat? Let's see what you guys are saying. Dynasty, nomads, English may not have a single word for it. No, yeah, we tend to get complicated and explain things out. I've written in kin group. Eric is suggesting a kinship lives on a
Could also be kith.
a kith.
Kith.
Yes, a kith works. We will do that. we go. As in kith and kin. Yes.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've got that. All right, so that's allowed us to plan out what Gleam Wake looks like then. So, give us some facts about it. Let me move this over to show those notes. Let's move this back to our story. So, we know what Gleam Wake looks like. How do we want our characters to approach? Are they going to come in on the surface, or are they going to come in underwater? I think either way their access is going to be through the drags. They're not going to be, through the drags makes sense.
They're essentially going to be led to a trio of Goliaths that are submerged, but the drags are essentially floating.
A floating section of Gleam Wake between 3 Goliaths. That serves as the general entry and exit.
I think that
point for all non-residents.
I think that the city, since it's moving at all times, goes slowly. It has a fore and an aft, and the drags are, of course, at the aft. So essentially, they're approaching the city from the ass end, and they need to go through the Sphinxter.
Okay. I think what I'd like long term, I think I would like our group to head up onto, above the water. I'd like us to have this chance to because it's going to be our only chance to explore the surface, really. So to just have
really
want. Go on.
I think, and this is exactly what I had in mind, I think that they need to see the energy harvesting of the surface of Shoal.
Yes.
Because this is what Shoal's surface is so saturated with radiation. It's beyond not funny. It's hazardous to the extreme. And this is where you harvest energy. This is also exceedingly dangerous and unpleasant. There's a reason everyone in Shoal know that underwater is safer than over water.
Yes.
And
you can have both the good and the bad from this showing up. Okay, so the group is led up to an above surface residence in the drags. Above water on Shoal is very dangerous compared to Earth. Chance to explore that dynamic and to also see energy harvesting on Shoal, both for the city itself as well as for the Titans, which may perhaps be
at the very least they'd like to
with a little radiation bath.
Yeah, it's good for you. It's like sauna. And they will want to take on excess energy for
the trip to come. We did say that we might want to have Benny involved at some point here, so perhaps we use
Benny's making friends.
Benny as
friends with one of the Goliaths.
Conduit to explore and see the way the Shoalie move between underwater and above. We see Benny lurking just off the fleet. Then Jake gets to see his full size as he comes up onto the dry docking spaces and settles down for a nap. There should be no active engagement with Benny. Too many shenanigans would happen.
I'm thinking that Benny is making friends with one of the Goliaths.
Okay.
It just amuses me, the idea that Benny just goes there and imagine someone just walking out to the island, the imagine someone going out to Atuan in this world and making friends with them.
Yes.
It's it's just like imagine you're Rincewind and someone is just going down there and having a chat with Atuan and then going away. It's a it's a stellar event for everyone else in the setting, but for them it's like, hello.
Alright, let's see. Yeah, we can come up through a submerged moon pool. Yep. Go high, less predators, then dive. Yeah, we need a make sign of the religion, then purposefully ignores the chaos gods. Alright, so we'll have sort of a brief Benny observation more than a Benny encounter. I think that will be good. Alright.
This is how cryptids work. Yes.
We need to have some time with the whole crew going through the ice breaking process and establishing personalities. We need a pinch point that's going to go around that. Do we maybe have that be their first like shared evening meal, where you get to see the different food preferences, the way different characters move and interact with the world, the different social groups they perhaps sit in, and that sort of thing?
What does a communal space look like?
Well, we're giving them an above-water residence that they'll be travelling in. I mean, I'm saying residence, but it's basically going to be yes, this is a guest warehouse where you have everything that you need for the duration you're with us, because you're just here to travel with us for a short time, and then you're going to disembark and leave. So I imagine it would be sort of, open sleeping spaces, sort of a very open plan warehouse type of thing, where you can park things undercover so you're not getting irradiated to death, but everything's sort of very communal and in one space. No real massive dedication to private areas, because it's not the point.
So I'm thinking like a massive yurt type construction.
Yep.
Uh, with energy harvesting happening on top.
Yep.
And being transmitted down. And they have the cook. And we can look at the scene from the eyes of the cook, who's not actually a character, but they're just the vantage point about the trouble of feeding so many different people, so many different things at the same time. And probably a sense of satisfaction for being able to do so.
Okay.
Give our readers a little bit of slice of life before we dive into the action. Hello, Grimos.
Structure they are in. When we get to see how the different characters interact and split into social groups, etc. Okay, I then think that we time travel a little bit. We then time travel to a week later when the group is getting ready to drop to their destination. Because we don't need the slice of life for multiple days, and it's not like they're only going to be there for one overnight or whatever. They've got a little bit of distance to travel, so we imply, they've had a week of this sort of starting to get to know each other and planning their route out and etc. And then we move to drop time, and I think that will be where we start chapter 4. I think just in terms of the length of the chapter, that will feel like that's where a natural split should be. I am happy, however, to start planning out some specifics for chapter 4 today, because we have time. Yeah,
we have about an hour left, and that's great. First, I think that this is a lot for a single chapter. Remember, our readers do not know the first thing about Joel, and we've just given them Goliaths and families and energy harvesting, and Mern is glowing beyond Polastra's trail of gas, and all of these guys need to somehow survive in a non-liquid environment.
Hmm.
This is also the point where I'm going to be that guy to say, hey, these guys need to somehow be adapted to air and the
Yes.
decompression that comes with not being in water. And this is a big thing. It has to be, otherwise, water. We need at least once pay attention to these people being used to being in treating air almost as complicated, at least as a hazardous environment.
Yes. We have many planes going from the airfield behind our house today.
Hello,
Okay,
planes.
so we'll get that
Bye,
chance to do that.
planes.
All right, chapter 4, we'll be looking at our drop down to the expedition site. So we've said in our notes that we want to have a sort of pep talk before they go, and Mag's talking about the place they're going to, etc.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll definitely have that happen. Do we want there to be any key events that happen when they leave Gleamwake behind?
I think it would be nice to see what we can. Jabra is going to, at some point, be exceedingly violent to someone. One of her crew, not necessarily Hordaka, but someone. She might be annoyed at the excessive ritualism of the locals, as we've established Glenwake to be a somewhat of a weirdo colony.
Yes.
They're kind of Burning Men, but even less sensible. And I don't blame them. They're following a diluted, quiet beasties as part of their lives.
Mm-hmm.
And
Doctor Who is suggesting the locals are trying to get glimpses of Jake, and as the security, she's just getting fed up with it.
yeah,
We
no,
could build that
one
in.
of them just. Yeah, I mean, a local trying to touch shrouds with Jake.
Okay, leaving Gleamwake has a few trials and tribulations. Jabra goes off on a local as they have been getting increasingly pushy about wanting to be around Jake as security. This is really getting on her nerves. Tipping point comes when someone pushes their shroud past the cordon line to interact with Jake without consent, and Jabra kind of goes off.
And Jabber jabbers.
Yes. She has to be pulled away from the situation by Umi, who smooths things over with the local authorities before the group decouples and descends. Okay, we will then we spend some time reflecting on the descent itself, the open water they are moving through, Mag's descriptions of the region, Jake's internal thoughts on the need to go slow for pressure reasons. These affect him as well as the Shoalie. The group will pass over one village as the light fades away. They see it in the distance as a series of lights. Mags explains there are a good few villages in the region. Not all of them listed on her maps, but that the zone they are going to has no such concerns, and she explains why. By the time the audience is up to speed on what is special about this expedition site, we should move into the group seeing the site coming into view. I think that's where we go from here. How do you guys feel about that? That will be like the first half of chapter 4. Then the second half will be an actual description of the city, of getting set up and their initial forays into it. How do we feel, chat?
Creep factor. And how creepy everything is.
Yes, we'll need to give that some space to breathe. Okay, that's a great thing to start. Jake Jabra bonding, yes, yep. Was it Magarella? Let me check. I will give you her name. Her full name is Magarel Narina. But everyone just calls her Mags, and she's annoyed by the S because it shouldn't be there. Jake would not want violence because the forest is come in peace and very particular about protecting that image, but privately he would appreciate Jabra's efforts. Yes. Yeah, and I think that's the thing that we want to go for is it will give us the chance to show that Jabra can be very aggressive, and that's not necessarily an unusual thing for her or her background or where she comes from, but that her aggression isn't unjustified, and that it's not that she can't be talked away from it as a situation resolves. So somebody stepping in and saying, hey, look, you've made your point, they're leaving, you're right, but we don't need to escalate this, and Jabra having the ability to go, yeah, it's not worth it. And then later, you know, a few minutes later, after everything's calmed down and Umi's talking to people, Jake can quietly, say, thank you, I appreciate that. And as you say, that lets them start to bond. So yeah, I think that will work really, really well. I think having that little pinch point as they leave is a good plan.
Yep.
Alrighty, so that gives us what our layout of that is going to look like. I'm pretty happy with where we're at with that. I think that gives me stuff to work on. Is there anything else you want to put in today, chat? Because admittedly, that was the content of today's expected stream. I didn't know how long it was going to take us, but I think that's a good amount we've gone through.
Yeah, we've done good, and I can show Chad the beginnings of what they wanted from Grave Inquiry in terms of color and shading plan.
So what I'm thinking about with Jake worrying about the pressure isn't so much, oh god, I need to worry about my suit, etc, etc. His suit's going to be fine for it, but the consideration of, we're not just going to go down as fast as we can. We're taking it nice and slowly because my companions are adjusting to the change in pressure because they don't have a suit like I do. This is fine for me in the mechs. It's not so fine for, our podland friend who needs a chance to let his shell adjust as we go down. It'll just be something to sort of comment on in general. It's more for the sake of the audience than for the character, but it'll be filtered through the character. Must have missed the 3-hour discussion of why Spachan is the worst Uma. I don't know that I have a worst Uma. Jake would mostly make his own food, while Cook Quartermaster would essentially have a dedicated mobile kitchen storage for that. Yeah, I think talking about, what Jake's options are, and because they're going to be up on the surface and that allows for a certain degree of sort of, human understood cooking to happen, I think we can have some interesting interactions there between Jake and the cook.
Kelp bread.
This stream has so far been mostly horse-free. We did drag Storma Musume out in the middle of the stream to just have a look at the artwork that I've worked on this week. But we didn't go full Uma Musume.
You've learned a lot.
I do think, though, we might have done something terrible. On Sunday, I might be joining Stormsong for his stream, because I might have convinced him to play Uma Musume on stream.
Oh,
So if you'd like more
Oh,
horse
yeah.
facts, turn up on Sunday. I think that's 5 p.m. EST. So we'll be doing that. Human cooking involves heat, which is an exotic cooking method for Shoal. No, the Shoal use heat. It's just the nature of where the heat comes from can be very different to humans. Boiling up a barnacle of ingredients over a hot vent is something that the Shoal are absolutely capable of. So cooking with heat won't be completely foreign to them. It might not be what they always do, and might not be as... you don't grill underwater. We're going to be above water for this section. But you can absolutely have heat underwater, contained heat, through various means that let the Shoal cook. They still have the concept of actually cooking.
Sous vide comes to mind.
Yep, sous vide, yeah, they have ways of doing different things. We could give Jake some implants to allow him to digest Shoal food. We could. I suspect as well we could just go down the route of, part of the... This would be a good way to also bring in some of the Forester Association, as noted, is that, they have a list of approved foods that are human digestible. I know if we wanted to go really hard science, it should be, well, these things are completely alien. Everything should be rejected. You should only be able to eat rations that come from your home world unless you have some kind... I don't want to go too far down that because it's not going to be the focus of our stories. We're not hard science. We are very soft science with a few fantasy elements thrown in. So we can play with what feels right and makes the story interesting, because ultimately that's the main purpose of this book. This needs to be interesting to people who don't know Shoal, so they want to know about Shoal. We can also let him have a bad night after eating something, or eating more of something than he should have, and then being regretful that he didn't follow the very good advice he was given coming down here. Like, I shouldn't have had that last barnacle. I knew it was one too many, but I had it anyway, and now I'm going to take some meds about it.
Sounds very reasonable.
Yeah, I think it'll be good fun for us to play with that.
Always
And then
take your barnacle.
It will let us have a nice contrast that we're going to have this initial scene where it's cooking above water that is familiar to the audience, but with some alien things thrown in. And then we're going to have a scene as they're setting up camp outside the abandoned city, where we then have to focus on, well, how does cooking work when it's purely underwater? And we can have another cooking scene at the camp down there where the conditions are now completely alien, and play with that as well. So I think that will be fun.
That'll be fun, and you can now notice Red liking the cooking anime.
I've liked cooking anime for a while, thanks to Corbin and Alex. They got me into some cooking anime.
Very good.
Has it improved my ability to be a cook? No, not even slightly, but I do enjoy them. All right, let me save where you've got to with Grave and Choir. He is looking amazing. We will show chat. This is very cool.
I'm adding some highlights now.
And I have spoken to Parallax. Once Graven Choir is complete, he has agreed to model him for us. So we will be able... Yep, we will be able to get an STL. So we'll bring back Storm and Musume for a moment while I change what image it's pointing at. And then we'll have that up.
There we go. Graven Choir has a hand crab. Has a crab hand.
There we go. How cool is that looking? Doesn't he look amazing? I love the fact that his one arm is a different colour to the rest, and the colour choices are wonderful. I really like this. That was a good call.
Yes, you did good. It was
Foresters
Chat's idea.
Yeah, Foresters would be game for integrating with the Shoal food included. Yeah, I think that's great.
The claw, yes, it has a claw. And there's a spine lance on the other hand. And there's the stuff on the back where he carries shit. And I needed to make...
How big is that mech sized? How tall did we decide he was? Was he 8 meters tall or taller? Was he one of the taller mechs?
No, he's fat, not tall.
Okay, so he's probably a little bit shorter than Hordaka's mech.
He is a medium mass Calio trencher. That makes him 7 meters tall when standing at full height.
Excellent.
He's not huge. He's just,
Sturdy.
as you can see, yeah, you can see it, the number of overlapping plates.
Mm-hmm. And he's got them big, sturdy, grippy feet. He's got that low center of gravity. He's ready to do a big old squat if he needs to. He looks great. The attitude in
No.
him is fabulous. Verithragna?
Verithragna. I'm sorry, my brain cannot computate. The Verithragna, he is not white, he is fat. It is literally written that way. He is fat.
He is
Just
not
like
white
his
Tom.
pilot.
He is fat choir.
He is fat.
His favourite Uma is Oguri Cap. There you go.
What does that even mean?
Uma Musume fans will get it.
He
Oguri
is fat.
Cap is an Uma who is known for eating and is often just called Oguri Fat by the fan base because she likes to eat. She eats all of the
Okay.
things.
That is fair. Horses are like that sometimes.
Yes. They
I
very
have
much
a
are.
very good friend who is a dedicated web developer and horse owner.
Oh, horse person, excellent.
Yes, she talks about it a lot every time we meet for a barbecue.
That's good. That is good.
So yeah, so we have our plans for next week. I need to write
Yep.
about crabulation.
Yep, you're going to write some crab flavor text. I am going to finish off chapter 3 and maybe think about the start of chapter 4. Next week
Crab
might be a
flavor
little bit in
text
flux.
Sounds terrifying. It's like those fish sticks that are crab flavored.
Erica says, I feel like I'm slowly pressured to play the horse game. I mean, the horse game is free to play. You can give it a try and see if you like it. And if you don't, just never play it again. If you also don't want to try the horse game, don't try the horse game.
Look, the pressure you're feeling is merely being in underwater shoal. That's all. That's the pressure.
Yes, the pressure is from us
Nothing
being
else.
underwater. It's fine. It's fine.
It's fine.
So yeah,
It's
next
fine.
week's
It's the
stream might be a
best
little bit influxed, depending on what happens, as we will have company. At the moment, I think the plan is to stream, and Doctor Who will be here and be able to be part of that. But, you know, I'll
Yay.
update in the Orcs as the week goes on. And yeah, we'll gather again next week. We'll see what's happening, and we'll continue this absolutely mad adventure that we're on. I'm very, very proud of
Yes.
everything we've put together so far, though, and Graven Choir is looking amazing. I cannot wait for
Thank
people
you.
to be able to print him out and paint him as well as you have.
I still don't believe you just said that.
Doctor Who says, do you want to do a reading of My Immortal at some point? We could do that. We could do
What?
next week. We could just spend...
What is My Immortal?
My Immortal is the world's greatest piece of fan fiction. It is the world's most influential piece of fan fiction. It is also absolutely atrocious. And if you are not familiar with it, maybe we need to save some of that for next week. Yeah, he doesn't know. It is a crime against humanity. We've
I've
got
seen many
people going,
crimes
no concern, and Lizzie's going, do it.
Do I need to ask my fan expert?
Ask no one anything. Turn up next week blind. We'll spend the first half of stream being constructive and actually doing important things. So we will do stream as normal at the start of next week, but once we get to 2 o'clock, we will read some of My Immortal, Doctor Who and I, and then for anybody who just cannot stand it and doesn't want to be here, you can just leave after having done the useful part of stream. I think that will be the best way to do it, and we will introduce you to My Immortal, Lictor.
Do I need a Pharaoh Fuzz as an emotional support
You will need
beast?
an emotional support beast, yes.
Okay, I will arrange for a Pharaoh Fuzz. It will be arranged. Okay.
Think of the mod staff.
We-
Why won't someone think of the mod staff? I refuse, Night Owl. I'm sorry. This is exactly why Dig should never have allowed for any of this nonsense. I don't know why you people let me in. You have made terrible choices, and now you will suffer the consequences.
There's 50 of them here.
Yes, why are you here? How do we have 50 people here to listen to me witter about writing and the cool things that all of you have helped me to build and Lictor's wonderful work? Okay, I think I answered my own question. It's because you guys build cool stuff.
And you're here to witter about it.
I am good at wittering. I do enjoy that. I don't know what vampire powers you're talking about, Gothdrop. I have no idea. It's a vicious rumour. Thinking of the mod staff with malicious intent. Yes, very much so. Yeah, just be glad I haven't read Hungry Like the Wolf at you all, because, oh my god, suffering through that book. I've suffered through it twice now because I inflicted it on my book club. And it was wonderful. I felt so much catharsis when we got to the bit where Hell's Horses turn up with the Stealth Atlas, and everyone else was as annoyed as I was. It made things so much better.
Like I said earlier, creed. I'm sorry. It's Warhammer level stupid.
Yes. It's absolutely
It's
Warhammer level stupid. Creed turned up and hid the Atlas behind a plant pot. It's fine. Yes, if you're really bad, if you are a very naughty chat, and I have to turn this stream around, I'll read Empress Teresa at you. Nobody needs that. Yes, Orc Slayers, the Stealth Atlas. There is a moment in Hungry Like the Wolf where Ilkhan Alaric Ward is having his Founding Day parade on the Clan Wolf base outside of Unity City, showing off his mechs to the love interest of the story, and somehow Clan Hell's Horses managed to sneak an entire Atlas C up outside the hangar on the base, and no one notices until it opens fire. They have a Stealth Atlas. 100 tons of mech just sidles up to a hangar in the middle of Clan Wolf base, and no one notices. How many days passed between the start of the book and Founders Day? It was a couple of months, I think, if I remember correctly. I do not know where you can get this mech. I don't know where Hell's Horses got that mech. I was very angry.
Isn't there tech in the Battletech universe that allows you to hide, to have a ninja mech?
I don't know how 100 tons trundling across the ground is not noticed. The ground isn't exactly going to be whisper quiet about it.
And they have Space Coyote magic.
So
Coyote
yes.
space magic.
Yes, I have issues with the Battletech romance, which is one of the reasons why we're going to write our own at some point, chat. We're going to write more Battletech romance books, and they're going to be better and dumber.
We'll say that the internet has made a demand for Van Zandt bullshittery.
Yes, the internet has.
There is a demand. The demand is out there, and we aim to shitpost.
And when we shitpost, we do not half-ass things. We whole-ass things.
No, we do not. Good God, this is going to be terrifying. Yes. And excellent, but terrifying.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to what this year's going to bring. It's going to be an exciting year. We've got many things,
Question
many fun
to
things
chat
to do.
before we're done.
What is your question for chat?
Regarding the Raven Choir, does the plating, the outside plating, the armor, does it have bioluminescent biolight threaded through it as the pond's coral threaded through it? I'm wondering the possibility of vein-like coral through the plating.
So I was thinking that there would be bioluminescent lanes in the plating because light is a great way to signal underwater. It's what a lot of deep sea species use to communicate with each other. I felt like it made sense for the Titans to have that capacity if they are, unless they're designed to be purely on land. They might not have it then. So when I was writing Echo in particular, Echo I felt would have quite a good suite of light indicators as part of her plating. And I feel like the wardens, it would also make sense for them to be able to have it as well, to sort of give an implication of I'm in trouble, or everything is clear. Some kind of lighting that is just an easy to see signal, especially in the dark seasons on Shoal. So that was where I was coming from with it. It will be lovely to see what chat thinks as well. Thank you for the quote, Night Owl. Very helpful. We're not going slow, we're not going fast, we're going half-fast. Yes, that half-fast is how we got the Battletech romance. We're going to have to do better than that.
We're going to have to go whole ass.
Wilf says they should have lighting because lighting is cool. Someone pimped my mech. Okay, I mean, cool factor can absolutely make its way in, that's fine. Do any of the mechs or critters communicate how sharks do? In what specific way do you mean? Do they have lateral lines where they can sense motion? Are you meaning electro-sensing? What specific element of shark amazing weirdness are we thinking of? And we can answer that question. I will now bother some beagles. I have been asked to bother beagles. Love, could you also bother a beagle?
I will remind everyone on chat that psyoptics are essentially lumen-based psionics.
Yes. I think light signals make sense. Electrosensing, some creatures do have electrosensing, yes.
Yes, and electrosensing by definition has something to do with shrouds and shroud sensing.
Yeah, I think that would certainly play into it as well. Nothing else from what picks it up.
But it's relatively minor. What I was talking about is the plating itself. Imagine that the texture of the Abysscast has veins of coral or depleted coral shot through it, because the pawns essentially grow into the plate in order to hold it in place.
Sorry I went quiet there. The dogs were having an argument. Pip wanted Ceres's space to lay down, and he has now won it by getting her to chase him off, and then he darted around behind her and stole the spot. But yes, psyoptics are a very crucial part, I think, of how things are going to work for all of this. And yeah, lighting as well, electrosensing as well. We'll have a full suite.
Yeah, no, it's not about the sensing. My thought process was that since Titans are grown to a degree rather than straight built, I am thinking that the Abysscast and especially in the joints, there are veins of bioluminescence.
Yes.
Hello, TK.
Yeah, that's part of the way that they're built.
It is essentially grown, and wherever the pond's coral are a major portion of what's going on, because we remember the pond's coral are the myomers of our world, and we like to talk a lot about the Thames coral because they are cooler, they're on the computers of our system, but the pond's coral are what make things move.
Yep.
And we can use that in a literary manner by saying that the light shooting through the pond's coral bundles is how we telegraph to the reader and lookers when we make out that something is building up.
Yeah, either building up tension or is under some kind of bad strain. You can use all sorts of colour language as shorthand. So yeah, you could see the armour plating. Yeah, the armour plating had been ripped off, and he could see the red flare of the pond's coral underneath right before the joint tore, or something like that. Yeah.
Yep. I'll send you in a second. You'll see what I mean.
You've been adding things to Gravenquire?
No.
Okay.
Never. Of course not. How could you? I feel betrayed. I feel exposed, and I feel like someone is paying too much attention. One moment.
And then we will call stream good for the week. We'll let you guys get out of here. I do believe Striker will be on at the top of the hour as normal. I've heard nothing different. So you guys will have many more fun things leading you into the weekend. And I think I'm going to be here on Sunday with Storm Song, because I think I've convinced him to make terrible decisions. And then we'll have WBBLW that night.
It's going to be terrible. Yes, that's the word we were looking for right now. Terrible. Because everything else is wonderful and requires ruination. And this is without Zork to help us.
Yes, we have done wonderful dumb things today without Zork encouraging us on.
Yes.
I'm glad you enjoyed the stream, Lizzie. It was lovely to have you here. I got to meet Lizzie at Location Redacted, and she is just like the best person. So I require you all to be very nice to Lizzie, chat.
Okay. I know what nice is. I think I've seen nice people before.
Lizzie, very, very clever and very literature knowledgeable. So we like Lizzie.
Okay, so let's transmit, because you guys have been talking and I've been drawing in the background.
You have. You've been making very productive use of your time.
Why are you being evil to me, stupid computer?
Because it can.
Yes. That is sadly very precise, but
Oh, excuse me.
Why? What? I think I managed.
You found it?
There we go.
You got it. It's doing the thing.
I did the thing.
Hey, we got the thing. Okay, let me save this.
Did the thing.
Boop. Boop. Yes. With any luck, that will just automatically update itself.
Oop. So it's relatively easy to see, I believe, what I meant.
Yes. Yes, if I zoom in, it should be really easy for people to see. Let me put this up. There we go, in the joints. Just let Graven Choir take over the stream in the joints and along the outside of the claw. Yeah, that looks really cool. And I love the sort of wave that you've got there, so it looks like light through ocean waves or veins. It could be either or, and that's a really nice way to tie that concept together visually.
Thank you. Thank you. That's what I'm trying to get.
Tired German says you had trouble because you haven't paid your blood toll to the machine.
I had a blood toll?
I mean your PC works without it? Amazing!
I just paid money.
Mine runs on swearing. I shouldn't say that. I have a nice new computer I was given and it runs beautifully. My old one ran on swearing.
Well, I mean, it is a way of doing things.
This is good, but it needs more haunts. Well, would you like
What's a
some
haunt?
haunts to finish stream? A horse. Would you like some haunts to finish stream? I can bring the haunts back up.
Why are we haunting the mech?
People like haunces. I don't know what to tell you. People like haunces.
I understand that is adorable, but I can ask the God Machine to make an Uma Musume version of Graven Choir if you really want. It would probably be somewhat terrifying.
I could, instead of just putting up the haunts, do you guys want to go out on the advert today? Do you want me to run the advert, or did everybody have enough of that last night? Was last night enough and we never want to see it again? Yes doesn't tell me either way. Yes, add, or yes, we've had enough. Cookie says show it. Let's see what the rest of chat say. Polite Policy didn't see the advert. Oh, goodness. Yes, you can share the advert elsewhere. Please disseminate the shitpost. Everyone is saying yes, except Night Owl, who's like, do not. Do not. You are relieved of mod duties for the end of stream, Night Owl. You can flee. It's fine.
I have asked the God Machine to try and make an Uma Musume out of Graven Choir.
All right, let me see if I can add the thing in. So I will need to add a media source. label it,
and I
and then I've
will
got to
note,
find where I hid it.
I have to say that this is entirely your fault.
What's my fault?
That
What did
I
I do now?
Not you, chat.
Oh, okay, thank goodness. Yeah, chat's fault. That's normal.
I know. I want them to know that, though.
There may be a
One
brief
moment.
blip of sound before I mute this and figure it out and do
Dear
stuff.
heavens.
Be warned, there may be a brief blip of sound incoming.
Red,
There we go. Right.
red.
Yes, yes.
Prepare yourself.
Oh my goodness!
There is. What in the?
I'm a very terrible person.
Alright, we'll show this before I do the advert thing. Oh my god, this is terrible. What have you done? What have you done?
We are poisoning the god machine.
Chat. Graven Choir Musume.
Terrible.
This is awful. Why have you done this thing? I thought it was Para's fault. I mean, the advert is quite a lot Para's fault. I was only marginally involved. I can't be blamed for anything. What the fuck? Yeah, don't ask me. Ask Lictor. I didn't do it this time. It is terrible AI art. Yes. So Lictor literally just made this right now, this second. We're just being dumb at this point. Right. We're gonna finish stream. What I'm gonna do is I'm going to play the advert, then I'll move us into the outro music, and then we're gonna go away. In about 15 minutes, Striker should be here to entertain you all. Have a wonderful weekend. I will see you on Sunday. Please be good to each other. Any closing words, Lictor, before I make stupid stuff happen?
What is Cosmic Suplex Love?
That is one of our wrestling tag teams. It is Beeple-chan, Sailor Moon Moon, Moshi Mecha, and Kooky-kun. They are a wrestling team and very sensible, I assure you. And I absolutely am not responsible for their theme music. It was not me.
Of course not.
All right.
Be wonderful. See you next week, guys.
Yes, we love you. There will be some nonsense and then the stream will finally be over. Good night, chat.
Ready, set, drop! The future is a battlefield, and now it's in your hands with Star League Derby, Pretty Derby Legends, only from Beeple Games. You know the great horses. You've seen their arsenals. Now it's time to challenge their supremacy and reclaim the racetrack. Coming soon, Hell-chan launches onto the course. Champion of Clan Hell's horses, all fire, all speed, and zero chill. Train her. Train her, tune her mindset, adjust her build, boost her mech rating, push her past the limit. Then hit the track where the finish line is always contested territory. Rivals, upsets, last-second surges, and when the smoke clears, you've earned the good stuff. Downtime with friends, and choices that shape your story. Hit the mall, the hot spring, the autumn festival. Get to know your rivals, and your mech team. Christ, I need to talk to my fucking agent. Hell-chan's reign of victory lies... Reign? Really, you spelled it that way? Hell-chan's reign of victory lies with you. Coach your champion, command your mechs, and take first by force. Ikuzo! Star League Derby, Pretty Derby Legends. No more horsing around. I need soap and lye and probably some acid.
Sign up today with promo code WBPL to get exclusive racer Stormer Musume with free Clan Goliath Scorpion racewear. Storm the track today.